This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good afternoon, everybody. Afternoon. Welcome to Djuma Private Game Reserve, where we're now looking at the beautiful sky on the western sector. You see how it's opening up, pretty much hot. We're sitting in open sky right now. And welcome aboard to your very own safari through African bush. Good afternoon, everybody again. We're here at Djuma Private Game Reserve, where we actually went to the slightly higher out hill, where then we can able to see the view of the land a bit. We are actually in Lowveld here, nothing much that you can see on the rising, where then we're looking at the very much western area, where we believe we might actually come across anything from breeding a herd of elephants in this hot day today. So I'm Andrew on camera. I have Simon. Our decision is to look around this afternoon and look for any possible of elephants in the mud wallows or in a water hole where they might actually want to swim because it's far too hot for them. Today we're sitting on a 24 degrees Celsius, 94 Fahrenheit, where it's actually still not actually very nice for, most animals to be out in the sun. But it happens sometimes when they feel like they can do that. But mainly cats, they will be in shade, where later on we'll be visiting our leopard, which is Tingana, to see if he's around. If I'm not, then Lauren will be going there to investigate what she will be doing then after that. So remember to communicate with us. Under the age, they can still use kids' questions at wildearth.tv or hashtag wildearth, that's on Twitter, as well as at FC YouTube channels. And you can go to wildearth.tv/explorer. So there you can go there and sign up. They're able to access you to be part of us, able to interact with us through questions. Everything's allow you through that. And of course, we're going to be continuing now, searching around for anything we can find for everyone to put on the shore. Actually, I'm excited to begin with a very warm day like this, look for the animal just to see what they'll be doing. I know they will be in a shed, but they'll actually surprise you sometimes. Some even lions, you would find them moving in this heat when they're desperately looking for the food. Even though then it's so much for them to focus on every time they appear on the open area, they're expected to be spotted by any of these prey species which they're hunting them, which they don't want to do that. All they do, they want to just hide. That's why they prefer night. So this is my plan. I'm going to be searching the western boundary, possibly, Hukumuri, because this is where you mainly be around here, moving around, searching around the western sector, the border. Remember, this is where we actually saw elephants. Melanie, you're right. I'm 100% agree with you. All you see on the rising, that's all the western sector. If you go further than that, if it was actually clear, I know there's a lot of a cloud further in the distance on these mountains, but then you're able to see the beauty of the northern end of the Drakensberg or Pietermaritzburg mountain. So anyway, This is so cool because we actually in the raining season right now. We just had a rain a few days ago, and then the green is still more likely to develop and get its beauty about. And of course, you know, it's going to be a lot of these browsers animals, such as kudus, those are browsers, such as the duikers, such as a giraffe. And these will be mainly running around, but their attraction is that every time they look further distance, they see beauty than where they are. So it actually makes them move so much. But this applies same with the cows at home. If you look at them, you know, they follow green every time they arrive in the places where they thought is beautiful. But it's not anymore beautiful. So there's a beauty is still ahead of us, I mean, of them anymore. They keep on moving until then they disappear. And later you look for them, you don't find them, they're gone. But it's the same thing with this animal. Sometimes you find them in the same area, such as in the elephants, where they're more likely to be in a group in one spot. But once they get mobile, then they're controlled by a matriarch. She'll just gonna lead them wherever she feels it's okay for a whole herd to find a grazer and browsing area. It's going to be quite a lot of a puddle of water where we actually sometimes more likely to find some warthog swimming. While I'm doing this search around here, I'm going to be sending you over to a Lauren with her something small.
Oh, I'm live. Good afternoon. I've found my favorite creature right here. Before I show you, I am going to introduce myself. My name is Lauren. I do have Marcello yet again on camera, and it feels like a small piece of the sun has fallen and landed in Juma. They say it's only 34 degrees Celsius, but my goodness. Okay, this is the mound, the exact mound that I showed you the other day, and already is modified, already is changed. I'm going to take more photos and we'll be able to do a comparison. I can't quite do a 3D model. I've not got enough time, but here you go. Here they are. Busy, busy, not even thinking of the heat. The heat's probably powering them. Here we have one of 3 different cast types of termites. Look at this, oh, it's incredible. Now this is the workers. Now how do I know that? A, they're working, and B, they're small. They don't have that large, bulbous, out of proportion head that these soldiers do. Now they're busy, busy. There should be some soldiers around because normally the soldiers come out to protect the workers. And they're building on the mound. There must be enough moisture. Termites require moisture. Once the rains come, they can get busy. The soil is soft and they can allow their allies to fly. Now you'll only have soldiers, workers and reproductives. That's it. They're the same species, but they're different castes. It's a caste system, and they all have different roles. They all have different functions to play in this incredible thing that is a termite mound. Now, this is obviously a very small termite mound. You can see that. There's no aardvarks or porcupines or hyenas living inside here. But they're starting. It's a new colony. They're building. They're growing. Look at this. Isn't that incredible? Every day, using their own saliva, soil, any sort of sticky secretions that they can produce from their mouth, from themselves, they will then use to build the mound. One of the smallest of insects are creating one of the most magnificent structures that can actually be seen from outer space. Incredible work. And they don't actually live in this mound. The mound is their functioning city. It's got lots of rooms, it's got lots of different areas for different purposes. They actually live in a nest way underground. So during the winter, termites are still present, they're still alive, but they're under the ground where we cannot see them, and that's why we don't see them in winter. It's too cold, but not only is the ambient temperature low, there's not enough moisture. You'll only start to see termites once the rains come. Once there's enough moisture in the air, the termites will get active. They do tend to be more active at night time, that is correct, but you can see that they're very, very busy here right now. And they are absolute paragons of sacrifice. They sacrifice everything for the colony. Okay, so I'm going to bumble on, see what else I can find. What a great start. But now we're going to send you down to Tswalu to see those meerkats.
Do you have a pick? Good afternoon and welcome to Tswalu. We're just currently spending time with some meerkats that we've located. We're not 100% sure which of the groups it is. We're going to try and stick to them for a short while. They're quite nervously looking around up in the sky, so it's possibly that there's a bird of prey that's been hindering him. My name is JP LaRue, and behind the camera we've got Craig. Our plan for this afternoon is to spend some time with these guys, and then from there on see what we can find on our bumble. Quite often with meerkats, they're very cautious about what's going on in the environment, as if they can make a tasty meal for a range of different predators. We also see that they're incredibly cautious of other groups of meerkats. What we also find is that quite often when they are feeding close by to their territorial boundaries, and both groups will meet up on that boundary, there's a possibility of a dispute. Quite often, we'll find that individuals will also sometimes become separated in these clashes. Quite often, a lost meerkat will then have to make his way into a new clan. And one of the best ways to do that is to be incorporated into that group is by actually doing a little bit of suck-up work. And what it entails is that you're going to stand security guard. And you're going to spend less time feeding and more time looking out for potential predators. Eventually, if you've done your bulk of your work, then they will start being happy with your presence. We're just going to continue following them from here, see if we can get another view of them. Good afternoon, V. I'm just as happy as that you are about finding meerkats. It is one of my favorite animals, and that's always a highlight for me to come to the meerkats. And it's something that always makes me happy. It's something that there's always something that I can, when I'm not here and I'm elsewhere, I always look at the pictures of these meerkats again, and quite often missing these little guys. Good afternoon, Henry. In total, that's a very difficult question to answer, but there's a number of main groups that are being studied, of which the KHOZAs and the rock stars are probably the most well-known of those two groups. So the habituated groups that we study, or what we keep a lot of contact with, we on average find that we have to be in and out there every day. We try and see every day where they go, and we sometimes try and see where they go and sleep. However, it's never guaranteed that that's going to be the same burrow system where they rise. We also found that if we don't follow them enough, and we give them more than 9 days that we don't follow, then we have to start the whole habituation process again. So during the habituation process, there's no interaction from our side involved. We do not feed them, and also we don't interact if there's any potential threats with them. Everything that they have to do must be on their own, so they must totally be independent of human action around them. If you guys are going to give us a moment, we're just going to quickly follow up on them and see if we can get a better view. In the meanwhile, we're going to hand you to Andrew, which is busy viewing a kingfisher.
Thanks, JP. So what we find here, we got a woodland kingfisher which just dive into the water. I can't see what it is, but it looks like either grasshopper or a water scorpion. Could be one of those. Which a woodland kingfisher, they mainly, you mainly find them inland. They don't actually always be in a permanent water, and they're actually not mainly hunting on fish at all. So they're actually insect feeder. They eat on insect. What you see happening there is busy killing whatever it is. It's probably a little harder for it. I believe so, because if it was so softer, then it would be already swollen up. And of course, they are migration bird as well. They come here, follow, raining season all year round. So every time of year is like this. You all have a lot of this woodlands kingfisher. So we're actually on the main road here, where we might actually see a lot of a company of cars. Matt, you're right. It looks so elegant. But there's such a actually beautiful bird. This specific bird and a lilac-breasted roller, one of the beautiful birds you ever see around here. And when you see them actually have a beautiful songs they do. And they have a beautiful songs they do actually. This is when they actually display their territory in the area. But it comes so plenty of them at once, because all of them from different regions, they're all just going to compete in the same area, mostly where it's wet. For their own benefit, feeding on insect, it's a key for them. But they also feed on fishes, giant kingfishers, and also pied kingfisher. Looks like a darn swallowed it, and had whatever it was, I think it was either grasshopper, I think. You see how it's trying to hammer it against the wood that was actually to kill it completely before it swallowed that. Because otherwise they cannot swallow a thing that is still alive. It will hurt their tummy. We understand birds, they actually have a very strong digest than any other animal. Which most of the time, even those hornbills, all birds in general, they would feed on many of grass seed, and some of these grass seed will be mixed with some little stones, and that will be digested into very soft. So sitting on top of these 4 minutes frog again, looking away from us. So I'm going to be sending you over to Mike.
What you're looking at there is where there was a warthog that was relaxing after a little bit of a mud wallow, but it decided that it had better things to do on this incredibly hot, low-felt afternoon, and I can't understand what it would possibly think would be better than hanging out by the pool. Hi everyone, my name is Mike Anderson. Behind the camera is Seb, and you're joining us at Eco Training Pridelands Conservancy, where we are about to set up camp right here at the waterhole, because it is very hot. And it is at this very waterhole that a young buffalo calf was born this morning, I'm sure, around this waterhole. We got to see it directly after. We didn't get to see it being born. But we're going to wait around here in the hopes that that herd hasn't gone too far, and they're going to come back and drink, because it's the hottest day we felt since that we had the rains almost 2 weeks ago. So it's really the perfect day for lots of animals to come down to the waterhole. But right now, all is quiet. All is quiet and peaceful here at Ndlovu Dam, but I don't think it'll be like that for long. There'll be all sorts of animals coming and going RJ, this waterhole definitely could dry up. It's very deep in the middle. From all the elephants that constantly swim and dig around in this waterhole, all the mud and silt is pushed to the sides. But it got very low this year. Around about September, it was, well, how could I describe? I mean, it was a quarter of the size you see now. It just had the deep muddy pool, but luckily we had a pretty good couple of downpours of rain, and now it's filled up nicely. I think it'll get even a lot fuller than this. And I've never seen it dry up in the last 2 years, but it definitely could. I've seen some pretty amazing, massive waterholes in my time that I thought would never ever dry up, that eventually did. It all depends on how much rain we have, which hopefully we're going to have lots of rain this year, and it will all be nice and wet. And while we wait here, we're going to send you over to JP at Tswalu, who's got some meerkats.
Welcome back to Tswalu. We just managed to relocate these guys after they ran. They gave us a little bit of hard work. They probably covered some 300-400 meters in the time that by the time that we relocated them. You will notice that some of them are busy digging. They're still looking for food. And you'll also hear a lot of little chittering sounds from the small ones as that they are begging for food from the adults. With the rain that we had, the soil is also nice and soft, which probably makes it a little bit easier for them to dig. One of the features that you can notice is on the front of their feet is incredibly long nails, which is adapted for digging in the soil. So the group that we are currently looking at, we just confirmed, this is one of our third groups that we recently started habituating, which is known as the Mokalas. To answer that question, they're quite fast. And one of the advantages that they have is super keen eyesight and the ability to look directly into the sun without that they're being blinded by the sun. So quite often you'll notice them looking into the sun and they'll detect birds of prey on the horizon and immediately will run. They're also very quickly to respond to jackals that's on a distance, as well as other rival meerkat groups which might make them run. In terms of speed, I'm not 100% sure how fast, but they're fast, pretty fast over short distances. One of the favorite things that I like about meerkats is when they run, is that they will raise their tails as a visual cue, so that the whole group can maintain contact with one another. So quite often, I do wonder, how on earth did Timon and Pumbaa get together to become friends in The Lion King? And the only thing that I can think about is the possibility that Pumbaa also uses his tail as a visual cue when they are following one another, when they are being disturbed by predators. Good afternoon, Moonbeam, and welcome to the show. In terms of their markings, they do not have different markings. They look all very similar. However, they differ in group numbers, and that's how we normally identify them. And normally they operate within a known range, which is a territory that they will defend. However, these territorial boundaries can very quickly be changed, depending on the size of a group. If a stronger group comes into the area, they might dominate them and push them out into another area. And then the stronger group will take over part of that territorial boundary. As you notice, there's a few of them that's still looking very nervously around. Good afternoon, Betty, and welcome to Tswalu and welcome to Wild Earth. So to answer your question, I would say yes, they do have a little bit of an effect on the landscape by creating these burrow systems and obviously aerating soil and providing home structures for a number of other species, such as yellow mongoose, as well as ground squirrels, who quite often come and live together with them in these little burrows. It also creates shelters for snakes, which is also most likely attracted to the burrows because of the scent of the meerkats, which they have detected. Two little ones are playing over there. Quite often you'll see them fighting with one another. As mentioned with a number of other animal species already, playing forms a very important part for young animals in developing the necessary skills that they will require as adults. In the meanwhile, we're going to still stick with these little guys and hand you over to ROAN, who's currently enjoying a leopard.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to And Beyond in Ghana. We are currently back with Nyala Female's youngster, which is hiding very well in the long grass. So we just quickly came into this area again to see if they finish a carcass or not, and then basically just spotted an ear above the grass, and we tried to move in here. So you can see it is very, very, very hot, and she's still trying to digest everything that she's eaten. So this afternoon you are with me, ROAN, I'll be your guide, and then BK, the birthday boy, behind the camera. And like I said, it's a very, very, very warm afternoon. We have no idea where the mom is. We don't know where Nyala Female is. The grass is so long, so it's really easy for any leopard to hide in here. And given by what we saw this morning, it's so easy for it to just leopard crawl into a different area and try to avoid us. I think the youngster was just a little bit too lazy. Beautiful shot though. I think she heard something there. With her green eyes just peering through the green grass. Every now and then she still looks up at the impala to see if it's still there. Also, you think, I mean, if a vulture or bateleur or even a tawny that, they'll try to finish it. But so far they've been lucky. Marianne, I agree with you fully. She does look absolutely stunning in that grass. It's also because her eyes are exactly the grass around her. Tough photo to take, but I will try a little bit later. So on the carcass, it looks like one of them went up to feed, maybe during the day a little bit. One of the legs are actually hanging a tiny bit lower. We can't, the camera is unable to move to the carcass. But anyway, there's still two legs left and the entire head. And we were discussing that actually on our way in, is that they'll feed on the entire thing. They'll completely finish it. I think they will still spend the entire afternoon here, and then from here maybe move towards water, I think especially after a hot day like today. To give you an idea, when I left my room, it was 38 degrees. At least now the breeze is starting to pick up a little bit. We're also struggling to find shade. But I think we might stick around here just for a little while. She keeps looking up the tree, so I'm hoping that maybe she goes towards the carcass and feeds a tiny bit.
How insane is that animal?
This is out of this world. Fantastic. Good, Mama.
Wow, what a way to start off.
Just such an incredible privilege to be out here. It just keeps on delivering.
There you go, there you go. Heart is pumping right now.
3, 2, 1. You are live, you are live.
Look at this, everybody. We've got a live kill.
The cock's holding the tail. It's holding tight. Lucky wildebeest.
There's nowhere to go.
This is a disaster in the making.
Something that I have never seen before in my entire life that you are now watching live.
My heart is in my mouth, everybody.
Look at this. It's gonna make it. It's going, it's going.
This is just too magical. Hi, little guys. That's great, isn't it?
Look at that. Scuba Steve has got a friend.
You've got a friend in me.
It couldn't be a better morning. This is just too special.
Oh my goodness, we've got a turtle.
How epic is the fact that we come into live from the Chobe River?
It's the most incredible feeling to be here. This is live and we're in Rwanda. This is a very, very different adventure, charged with emotion.
I did not think I would ever face my fears like this.
Hi, good afternoon and welcome back again to Tswalu. We're still with the meerkats. At the moment, we're watching the dominant male within the group. He's busy digging away and quite often the little ones run up to him. They're really in the hope that he's going to find something to eat and to provide them with a little meal. So their favorite meals over here are quite often scorpions, beetles that are known as woolly chafers, and a number of other insect species that they will feed on. Even blind snake or species of snakes that they will sometimes feed on as well. I always find it fascinating how well they are adapted to smell potential meals and how quickly they can dig. Quite often they will burrow up to 50 centimeters deep. Good afternoon, Kiki, and welcome to the show. Yes, they definitely don't have to worry about dirty nails, and nobody is going to reprimand them when they come home tonight and they're all dirty and swelled up. Quite often you'll notice that their faces are full of sand as well when they've been digging, especially in wet soil. When it comes to meerkats, it's not only the dominant individuals that in the group that will feed the young, all the group members will assist with feeding the little ones. What I do find fascinating is that the small ones will always dig, which is a behavior which is basically genetically programmed in them. However, they're not really digging for food. But this is once again a skill that they have to practice for when they're adults, and when the adults will no longer feed them. In the meanwhile, we're going to hand you over to ROAN, who is still with a very, very hot leopard.
A very hot leopard indeed. And what she's done, she might give us a yawn soon again, but she's actually moved out of the thicket after the thick grass where she was. And this is exactly where she was when we found her. But then, as coming closer, she just creeped in further back. Being a leopard, they want to be secretive. They want to try to be elusive. So she was actually trying to hide. And I think after spending about 5 minutes with her, just watching her, she snarled at us a few times and then came a little bit out of the grass. And now you can see her pretty face in all its glory. But still breathing very hard, panting. It's just too hot. I don't know what she sees. Maybe her mom is in that direction. She's looking right behind the vehicle at who knows what. their eyesight would be better than ours, and I think she could pick up any movement. Might still be the impalas that she saw this morning. Now her attention has turned to us. But what a pretty animal. Without a doubt, my favorite thing to see and look for in the bush. I think because it's so hard to find, so when you do track them down, it's always just such a winning feeling. Maya, who's only 4 years old, wants to know how fast a leopard can run. So they are very, very fast, but they don't have a lot of stamina, which is what makes a leopard an ambush predator. So Maya, what they need to do is actually stalk up very close to their prey, and then when they start running afterwards, they can reach speeds of up to 24 meters per second, which is very, very, very fast. I think my top sprinting speed is about 24 kilometers an hour. So they are much, much faster than us humans. And so a leopard also having retractable claws, when they do go into a sprint, their claws will actually come out, which helps them a bit with grip. Oh, there's another big yawn. Look at those beautiful teeth. She's looking up at the tree again. Just the most beautiful eyes. She doesn't look as much like her mother as I thought she would. I remember the Nyala female, when she was younger, she actually looked quite a bit like the black thumb female. Now this youngster doesn't really look that much like the Nyala female. They're quite interesting. I think she's prettier than her mother. But don't tell the Nyala female I said that. Not really too sure where she is. I love it when they look up like that. Just exposing those green, green, green eyes. Chris, leopards don't really like water too much. They're not really a big fan of water, strangely enough. I've never seen one go for a swim, so they would go drink and rather go into shade. I think majority of the time, leopards and lions around here are actually scared of crocodiles and scared of hippos, things they can't see. Funny enough though, a tiger would love, they just go straight into water. And so every single day, midday, if you go to India and you go to see tigers, you can actually go to a watering hole and you'll find a tiger swimming around or just lying in the water. I've seen hyenas do it, also go straight into water, go for a swim and a paddle, but I've never seen leopards and lions do it. I think they're a bit more scared about what might be in the water. May just be bitten by a terrapin. Oh, you can see her head's going back down again now. Still watching us, still see that one eyeball fixed on us, but relaxing a little bit more. See, the spots blend in very, very well. And then this long grass. I bet that looks very cool on camera. Zoomed in on just the one eye, you can still see the pupil just watching us so intently. Head up again. Happy birthday, VK. If I had a singing voice, I would sing to you. But sadly, I don't have a singing voice and I don't want everyone to switch off their TVs. So I'm not going to sing to you. I'll sing to you later. Shame. I think as a human being, we're quite lucky to walk into a cold shower or go into a swimming pool. Suffix, I think, asking if Ngala has a large leopard population. We definitely don't struggle for leopard. We've got quite a number of females around with youngsters. So we do. The thing is with beyond Ngala is that we are right next to a massive wilderness block. To explain a wilderness block, there's really no roads that run through it, and it's around 64,000 hectares big, so just a bit more than 4 times larger than Ngala. on our eastern side. So if any leopard from the east comes onto Ngala, it means they've never seen vehicles before, which means they're not very habituated. So even though they are around, we don't really often see them. So we could have quite a few skittish leopards on the property whose tracks we might find. But then we have these that are much more relaxed and much, well, habituated. So yeah, we have quite a good population of leopard. I would say very healthy. I think she's just keeping an eye on the sky every now and then to make sure there are no vultures or anything coming down. Leopards would defend it with their life. So I think we're going to let her be. Actually, just let her relax a little bit. Try get another vehicle in here. It's a tough spot to show. I think there's only one viewpoint. But for now, she's not going to move too much. We might come back here later, but send you over to JP with very busy meerkats.
Welcome back to Tswalu. We're still watching the meerkats. They're busy digging out little things and eating it. The pups, however, were a little bit slow to respond, and the adult decided to eat it himself. So I'm still hoping that they're going to dig something like a juicy scorpion out that they can offer the pups. Good afternoon, Suffolks, and welcome to Tswalu and welcome to the show. They do not stay together for life. Quite often something happens with individuals. Quite often there's conflict between different groups and they might separate. Sometimes also females that do become of the better females of a second in charge female might actually move out of a group, and some of the young males might follow her. They might be potentially splitted up as a group by predators, and then they might form part of other groups. However, what they do find is the larger the group, the more successful they are, especially when it comes to raising young, where females that do break away from the group with a small amount of males are seldom, if ever, successful with actually raising those pups eventually. In the meanwhile, we're going to link you to Lauren, who is currently enjoying a sighting of leopard. It seems that the guys in Lowveld is absolutely having a blast with leopards today.
Mr. Tingana, the big banana. Mr. T, the Duke. You get the point. Well, he's not flat. He's not as flat as I anticipated he would be. We're at Tamboiti Dam, which is actually in Buffelshoek. Why have you got your shoulders hunched up like that? With this intense heat, I really anticipated that he would be extremely flat. And I was wrong. I love it when the animals prove you wrong. In Tingana, we see him, and then we don't. And then we see him, then we don't. But the past few days, we've been very lucky with him. He was seen feeding on a kill together with Mulwati and Hukamuri, an extraordinary, beyond belief sighting that happened in Arathusa. And since then, he crossed back quickly through Djuma and now back on Buffelshoek. I do feel he is heading towards becoming nomadic if he's not there already. But if he's not, then his territory's definitely shifted. But this is a strong, thriving cat. An older one, yes. Not losing condition. He looks absolutely magnificent. What does he see? Chip, churr. I don't think he's just sitting up. I genuinely think he sees something. We got to see Mulwati yesterday, and he's also a very big male. Sorry, Gwen, between my voice and the woodland's kingfisher, I completely did not hear what you asked me there. I'm not entirely sure how similar the cheetah and leopard fur are. Never touched them. But they're both hair. They're both mammals. Sorry, I really think Tangana's looking at something. I just can't see what it is. They're both mammals in the order Felidae. So I believe they will be very similar to the touch, but sadly, without having touched either, I cannot comment on that. But I believe they'll be very similar. They're not part of the same genus. Leopards belong to Panthera, the big cats, and cheetahs belong to Acinonyx. They're in a genus all on their own, but they're very closely related in terms of the grouping of animals. They're both felids. I imagine the hair would be quite similar. Maybe he is just sleeping. Let me get my binos out once again. Okay, I think I'm going to try and reposition so that we can get shade and we can at least try and see Mr. T's face. But for now, we're going to send you across to Kim.
Welcome to and beyond Phinda. It's a pretty hot day here today. The wind's picking up though, and it's keeping us nice and cool. And we've come onto the floodplain and found a herd of wildebeest with a bunch of wildebeest calves, each standing by their mum. I'm Kim, and behind camera we've got Owen today. Yeah, like I said, it's a pretty hot day on Phinda, a little bit windy as well. So we have been visiting watering holes and just going from area to area where we know there are going to be animals. Obviously, most animals do like to hide away in weather like this. The wind especially is something that puts the animals into hiding mode. And obviously the sun has that effect as well. Not with wildebeest though, as you see. And like I said, going to places where we know that animals will be. Wildebeest are almost always on this floodplain. I don't think I've ever come past here and not seen a herd of wildebeest. You can see with this group, they're kind of just standing around. Some are lying down. I think it's too hot and too windy to even be feeding, so it's just resting. You see, some are feeding, the others are just kind of milling around. Laura, I would hazard a guess at saying that I don't think any animals suffer from heat stroke. I think most animals are pretty well equipped for the heat. Up here in Zululand, I think that if any animals suffer from heat stroke, they wouldn't occur in this area. I think that goes for most areas that are hot. If there are any animals that suffer from heat stroke, they just wouldn't exist in that area. And I think, yeah, that goes to say that no animal would suffer from heat stroke unless you took an animal that was meant to be in a cold area and put it into a hot area. Then maybe there would be a bit of a different story. But I can't answer that. We've also got quite a pretty flower in the foreground that we've been trying quite hard to identify. We've kind of got into the ballpark of it being a species of crinum lily. I think one that lots of people know is the candy-striped crinum, but as you can see, this is quite pale. It doesn't have those bright red stripes that the candy-striped crinum has. So we're thinking maybe a river crinum lily or river lily. This is actually a floodplain, so there's two rivers that merge on this area, and when we've had a lot of rain, then this actually is full of water. And after some rain, it does get quite waterlogged. So it has the soil would have quite a good content of water. And then the other one we were thinking it might be is I think it's a Maputoland crinum. So those are the two that we're kind of wondering between. I think what's throwing us off a little bit is that it's very, very pale with not much else on it. Cindy, I'm pretty sure some flowers do get stepped on, but there are just enough of them that the others can, survive. So I'm sure that some definitely do get stepped on. Wild animals aren't one to walk around and try and not step on the pretty flowers. There are some flowers that animals actually eat though, so those would have a little bit more of a difficult time surviving, like the weeping boerbean, which is a tree that has beautiful red flowers, I think around November time of the year, and giraffe eat those flowers, and lots of animals eat them off the floor as well. So, but at least that's a nice big tree, so the tree carries on surviving. And in fact, I think the trees actually benefit a little bit from the animals feeding on them, because that's how they pollinate. So the animals feeding on the flowers get pollen from the flowers of that tree and then move on to the next tree to feed on that tree and take the pollen across. And that's how it actually helps with the survival of the flower. Although this wind doesn't really help with our game viewing, it is definitely quite a relief from the extremely hot day that we've had. I think that we may carry on as it cools down. I think some other animals might get a little bit active despite the wind, so we might go and try and find some of those.
I'll be honest, in this heat, luckily there are patterns, like this elephant. We are actually on our way to a watering hole to Clara Dam to go see if we can find any elephants swimming there, and we came across this guy. So he's eating the grass around a little pan system, but every now and then he also flicks up mud, and then he's been spraying behind his ears, which makes sense. It cools the veins that are behind his ears, so you'll notice he's flapping his ears quite often as well. So they pump around 12 litres of blood through the ears a minute, and as he flaps it, the cool blood just pumps through his entire body. Very clever system. You can see he's tiny bit, there we go, behind the ears and on the body. That looks like fun. I wish he could come and spray us. So I think he was actually with a herd. I'm just going to move a slight bit forward and behind him again Don't want to put pressure on him and drive directly at him. He's turned around and he's coming towards us. We're just like sumo wrestlers. We're just circling each other. So he's following behind a herd with, he's probably about 100 meters or so behind a herd. I think he'll try keep up. A young male, not in his prime just yet. There he goes, in the direction of the herd actually. Hopefully he catches up soon.
Well, it's not the best visuals, I'm afraid, but Tingana is still at the water's edge. And just the fact that he's not flat on a random patch of grass, just the fact that he's right next to this water hole, Tamboiti Dam, I think we'll stay for a little bit. It would be nice to see him get up and have a drink. It would be nice to see him walk around this water hole. It's clearly hot and uncomfortable, just as we are. We have managed to get semi-shade. And luckily we can sweat. Tingana here cannot. He's covered in hair. Can you only begin to imagine? I am really intrigued to find out about Tingana's behaviour, whether he's territorial or nomadic. Can you give me that name one more time, Gwen? You're asking, do leopards prefer to rest on the trees or on the ground? Tingana, this is one for you, boy. What do you prefer? I'm not a leopard. Oh, okay. He prefers to be on the ground. They are arboreal. They're specially adapted for life in the trees. They've got large scapulas, lots of muscles, incredible amount of power that they can pull themselves up trees and also their prey. Now they stash their prey up there to keep it away from scavengers. That's the sort of real reason behind hoisting. But whether they prefer to lie on the grass or the trees, not a leopard. But I do see it vary across individuals. I see individuals that just prefer to be a little bit more terrestrial, with their feet firmly planted on the ground. And I see leopards that just love to be up in the trees. I personally think it's a personality trait. It must take a lot of effort to hoist your body up. We watched Tlalamba jump out the tree yesterday and it wasn't easy. She landed with quite a thud. So I think if you don't have much energy, you haven't fed in a while, you may want to stay on the ground. But if you know there's threats nearby, or you feel safer in the trees, I see the females in trees a lot more than males, but this is just from observations out here. It's not sort of a scientific fact. So I guess I'm not sure. Depends on the leopard. If he stays flat for a long time, we will check other water holes to see if we can see any other hot, thirsty animals. But we will come back. I want to spend as much time with Tingana as possible. But it seems like Andrew's already been lucky and he's got some elephants.
Thanks, Lauren. So we now Mlawati River here. And then we find, for now, it looks like it's only one female elephant feeding inside the drainage line system. It's probably just because of plenty of grasses. And she's now right there where it's already too much sun. And we found that there got to be more elephants around here because females, they in herds. where breeding herds can be anything started from 8, sometimes upwards to about 50 if it's possible. So it happens they're probably in shadow here because we don't hear anything else, any of the bush that disturbed. But you probably know exactly where they are. And then you'll probably communicate, and that's a sign of probably she wanted to know where they are and responds. Carry on from there if she ever heard where they are, and then she's just gonna move in there. Or if she's the only one in this group that she's the biggest, and they will probably come down here a little later on because they will probably know where she is. You know, it's always nice to watch elephants to do what they do in the nature. We know what she's doing, flapping the ears, and that's when she does that. It's all about cooling off during this heat of the day, and she's taking as much as she can in grasses. So I'm going to stay put here. I'll be sending you over to Kim with his tortoise.
Welcome back. We were heading off to find other animals that aren't too bothered by the wind, and we found a tortoise, and tortoises definitely aren't very bothered by the wind. Well, good timing. He's just heading off behind a bush. But we've just been watching him chomping away at some grass. And I don't know if he saw just before he went behind the bush. Hopefully he comes out the other side. I can still see him moving around there. He was shell or carapace was quite lumpy. Those little lumps are called scoots. And those ones that are like quite heavily ridged or quite arched like that tells us that it's a leopard tortoise. We only get 2 types of tortoises on Phinda. One is a leopard tortoise and the other is a bull's hinged tortoise. But it looks like he's decided that he might stay behind that bush, which is just great. He was eating away, like I said, so it's possible he's gone behind there and might stay there for a while if he's found a nice patch of grass to eat from. I think that we'll stay with this tortoise for a few moments longer to see if he comes out again. But I'll send you over to JP.
Good afternoon and welcome back. We currently positioned at Tswalu Dam and Tswalu and seeing what we can find, and we were hoping that there's going to be some animals coming to drink, and there we go. There's our first visitor coming closer to the water, and we can just see a very large set of spiral horns sticking out behind the vegetation. This is a big kudu bull that's moving away from us. As mentioned previously, this is one of the antelope species with one of the longest sets of horns. Unfortunately, he's moved off. So just as a quick record, my height is at 1.75, and the closest horn length that I can remember in terms of records is approximately 1.71. Although I'm speaking under correction, as it's recently been a set of kudu horns that were found of a kudu that died from natural causes. However, the record has not been confirmed yet. It's regarded as one of the biggest, however. We're just going to pan over Tswalu Dam, going to see what pops up, see if there's any birds that come in, or some more animals coming for a drink. Maybe pan in for me on that blacksmith lapwing over there on the opposite side. We've just noted the blacksmith lapwing that's still on the other side of the dam. As a pair of it was breeding on that side, but was nesting. However, they're most likely still sitting on the nest, as I have not been able to see any chicks in the vicinity. So with blacksmith lapwings, their young can be active directly after that they hatch. So hopefully in the next few days, we might still see the chicks.
JP, we've been waiting for exactly the same thing. We actually thought we might come here to Kalahari Dam and see more impala, zebra, maybe elephants coming in to swim. But rather what we found was a large, basically bachelor flock of knob-billed ducks. You can see in the picture they're all floating away, actually kicking away. But also when they get their names from, so have these large knobs. And they're a duck. Quite odd to see so many here, because usually this dam, they are all on the other side of the dam. They actually just got out the water as the knob-billed geese got into the water. Got a few number of chicks there. And of course the hippos still swimming around, but other than that, nothing coming down to drink. Nothing even in the vicinity. Can't hear any elephants approaching. There's quite a nice breeze now coming off the water towards us, cooling us down as well. Just see the hippo's head there. Falling asleep, eyes are closed. Another hippo just right behind it, see the nostrils. I think there should be a baby hippo in here somewhere. They're quite split up. I think quite a few of them are further north. It looks like the big male. You can see a very large head. Now just come up. Very peaceful animals to listen to during the day. Just every now and then you hear them pushing water out of their nostrils in the blowhole. Yeah, very peaceful spot to sit, especially with this breeze cooling us down now. It's quite good. JP asking if hippos have a mating season. JP, I don't think so. No, majority of these grass-feeding animals would try give birth around the rainy season. Makes sense, but we've seen hippos mostly this time of year. So yeah, it's quite a long time to be pregnant as well. JP, I'll get back to you on that one, but I've never actually read that a hippo has a mating season. I see things like impala and wildebeest that you know would give birth exactly when the rainy season starts. And of course start mating 6 months before that for impalas. But hippos, no, we've seen quite a number of babies come throughout the end of the year. I think there are no elephants coming down here. I think what we might do now is head further down south to different watering holes and see if we can find anything else on the property.
So that's quite interesting that Rowan's talking about breeding seasons, because we actually are discussing the exact same thing, sitting here with 3 very new little zebra foals, and about whether or not zebras have mating seasons. So this time of year does tend to show a lot more baby animals. Rowan's definitely right about the wildebeest. They're quite bound to a season, so they'll all have their babies or their calves now. around this time of year. It's kind of slightly varies from area to area, but here on Pinda, the wildebeest are kind of in the process of giving birth. Loads of them have already given birth. With zebra, though, it's a little bit less strict. It's not very strictly seasonal like it is with the impala and wildebeest and warthogs. Like you can see, these three look quite similar in age. So zebra tend to go into we've got a little energy attack there. Zebra tend to go into season or estrus a couple of times a year. Oh my gosh, that's very cute. Looks like something's bothering that little one, like maybe something biting her on the bum, and she's quite agitated jumping around like that. So like I was saying, they come into estrus a few times a year, but it does tend to fall over this time of year. The gestation period for zebra is about a year, so if the mares who do not have foals at the moment will probably be coming into estrus and will give birth about this time next year. So it's a little bit less strict, a little bit more staggered than the wildebeest, impala and warthogs, but still does stick to a little bit of a seasonal. Got someone shouting in the background. Mary, they are very, very adorable. And they've got that sweet little fluffy coat on their back. But I think all baby animals are pretty adorable. And each time we spend some time with them, you get like a new appreciation for each little animal. Try and reposition, see if we can get another look at those. Okay, if our vehicle allows it, we will reposition. You can see the zebras are quite pregnant, if not already mothers. Okay, still trying my best to turn around. I do apologize. Okay, while I wait for my vehicle to respond to me, we'll send you over to Lauren with her leopard. Oh, there you go, good timing.
I think the Duke might actually be hungry. He's up, he's came to the cut line, and he's staring directly into Juma, which is, it's great news. And I think the only reason he's up and active in this heat is that he's hungry. I don't know what he's looking at. I would imagine impala. He's positioned his bottom in the shade, but he's completely alert and completely awake. I just don't want to go in front of him. I don't want to block his views, so we don't have the best look at his face. We don't have any look at his face, but we do see these gorgeous ears and that lovely back of the head. He walked right past a car, And he really is in such great physical condition. If he is nomadic, just because he's nomadic, it doesn't mean he's not in good condition. It just means he's adapting to the environment around him. Maybe because he is getting older, if there's too much competition from younger, stronger males, he's just ahead of you on the cut line. Sorry, I'm just letting other vehicles know that he's there so that they don't drive too fast. Yes, it's just a way of life. It's an adaptation to your situation. Maybe some leopards stay dominant right till the very end. Maybe some don't. But here in the sands, due to the really high density of leopards, really high, maybe when Mulwati did come in, he decided, well, okay, my apologies about that. I just want to follow me. Definitely sees something. We're going to reposition Marcello. Or are you happy here? Marcel's happy here. Look, twitchy tail, twitchy tail. So yes, Tungana's just adapted as all organisms have to do. You have to adapt to your constantly changing environment. Oh, his shoulder blades are up. I'm just going to move Marcel. The other vehicles are going to come. Let us just get in a slightly better position. Can you get him from here, Marcel? Now he's literally on the middle of the northern cut line now. Something in Juma's catching his attention. I can't see anything. I'm going to get my binos out. Not that that's really going to help, but I'm going to try. I'm going to try and see what he sees. Look at that tail. Oh, here we go. He's crossing into Juma. Perfect. That's exactly what I want. We're going to follow. We don't need to ask permission to go into Juma. We can just go. How exciting. Come on, Marcel. Oops. Marcel sneezed at the same time as I stalled. We're in sync, Marcel. When I'm aware you're asking me a question, I just want to navigate around here. Don't want to block them. Oh my goodness, I've stalled again. What is happening to me? Marcel, are you able to get him through this tiny little gap? Let's see if we can work here. I don't want to block his view. You've got to be very careful that you don't actually put yourself in the position where, well, you end up blocking whatever it is that he's looking at. And we, of course, don't know what it is he's looking at. There we go. Isn't that perfect? That lovely little gap. You get to see half of his face. I think our cat is hungry. Yes, sorry, Gwen, you can go again with that question. Quentin, I would imagine so. I would imagine they're all unique, covering the whole entire body. Don't actually know if they've scientifically, conclusively proved that, but I imagine from the head to the tail, each leopard is different. We do use spot patterns, but they're not unique. Some leopards do have the same spot pattern. But otherwise, I would imagine it's all completely different. Okay. just going to get on this radio. We're going to try and stay with Tingana as long as we can, and hopefully he's going to hunt.
Has it just pretended to be dead? Oh, that was amazing. I can't. How do I? It's like that is hands down the coolest.
Expect the unexpected here on Wild Earth daily. Wild Earth is launching our brand new Explorer program with an opportunity to win a very special Wild Earth expedition. The lucky winner will get a behind-the-scenes Wild Earth experience at the magnificent and beyond Ngala Tainted Safari Camp. The prize includes a 3-night stay for you and a friend with a chance to sleep out in the unique Ngala treehouse. Become a Wild Earth Explorer and stand a chance to win this and many other prizes. Terms and conditions apply.
Why is the Mara special? It's one of the only few places that you can find the annual wildebeest migration. I will still go for the lion. The main reason is a sign of royalty, leadership in my tribe, and apart from that, over here, it is feared by all but loved by everyone.
Catch up with the guides daily here on Wild Earth. Join our Explorers program so we can keep on sharing nature with the world. For a monthly subscription, you will have the opportunity to win fantastic Wild Earth expeditions, have access to an animal identification app, receive weekly highlights from our shows, and much more. All the money will go to keeping these live safaris on air, which in turn connects a global population with nature.
Good afternoon and welcome back to Tswalu. At the moment we're enjoying a view on the journey of giraffe. I was just standing a few meters away from a vehicle in a crouched position and then suddenly came up and experienced quite a big head rush, which reminded me that giraffes also have a number of different adaptations to prevent this from happening. So if we look at giraffe, they have evolved strategies such as elastic blood vessels and valves and an enormous heart to get blood to and from different parts of the body. For a normal human being, your blood pressure should be approximately 80/120. It's precisely double that amount for giraffe. So in recent years, people that often study nature to find solutions for man-made challenges had a look at giraffe and their blood vessel system and decided that this is a very effective strategy to use for flight suits for high-altitude pilots to prevent them from blacking out. I'm not quite sure what disturbed them at the moment. There's something that they're viewing from a distance. They're all having a look. In general, giraffe has got very good eyesight. They tend to also focus on predators. And if you're on foot walking as a guide and you notice that they're not looking at you, then you know there's something else. A few years ago, a very good colleague of mine decided to see how close he could get to a giraffe. He decided to put his hat on top of his rifle. His friend decided to put his hands on his shoulders. Got 25 meters away from the giraffe and noticed that the giraffe wasn't looking at them but at something else. And very soon they discovered that the lioness was actually looking at them and very suddenly decided that it's slowly time to get moving and out of that area. As mentioned previously, giraffe can approximately keep contact with one another over distances of some 3 kilometers. Good afternoon, Denzi. To answer your question, no, they're not mute at all. However, they're predominantly silent, but if they're under stressful situations, such as where they are confronted by a predator, they will start bellowing very loudly, a sound that I've maybe only heard 2 or 3 times in my life. The group of giraffe that you see over here, they will only form a temporary little association, and very soon they will move off. So we find with giraffe that they have no social structure. Everybody is basically focused on themselves. There's no leaders, nobody to give you commands or instructions. You just meet up when there's a girlfriend, or otherwise when there's a little party with a sufficient amount of food. Once the food is then completed, everybody will go off in separate directions. Tom, I agree with you 100% that it is an absolutely stunning scenery. In front of us, we've got beautiful camelthorn acacias, which is also known locally as mocadas, and we've got fields of yellow flowers, which is a tribulus or dibblekey, which we discussed in one of the previous shows. As we've been driving, we've actually been commenting on how many flowers there is at the moment, and it's just plates and plates and plates of these yellow tribulus flowers wherever you go. I've never seen them in such a mass ever before. While we were driving out earlier, I just mentioned to Craig, the new cameraman that took over from Davy, that it's one of the most beautiful times to be in the Kalahari and the most green. Good afternoon, stuck in bed, and welcome to the show. The most amazing thing for me about giraffe is actually their tongue. Firstly, it's prehensile, and it can actually strip the leaves off these thorn trees that have got incredibly sharp edges to protect themselves. Secondly, what amazes me about the tongue is the special coating of saliva that actually deflects the thorn off the tongue without stabbing into the tongue itself. However, I would also reckon that the valves in the blood vessels that are elastic is just as impressive. And then their sheer height, as if they are the tallest land mammal in the world, and that they can reach heights of up to some 5.8 meters tall. Some of the other fascinating things that I do find about them as a fast fact or two is that they're also the ruminant with the longest gestation period. We're going to stick with these giraffe for a little bit longer, see what they get up to. But in the meanwhile, we're going to hand you over to Andrew.
Thanks, JP. What we see here, it's such a beautiful eagle. It's a Warburg's eagle. And Warburg's eagle, they sometimes, well, they always pair, for life, where during this migration, when they come back here, they're more likely to come to in a very similar area where they breed. And now I think there must be nesting going on around here. Sometimes in this eagle, a very interesting color, you got a paly than what you're looking at right there, which you're looking at the dark kind of a form eagle. Always easy to identify. It's not actually a big eagle though, with a little crest. When you look at this crest, you'll think of marshall eagle, but then it's far too small compared to those marshall eagle. What you hear on the background, squirrels, lamb calling, probably seen that eagle. Because this is what makes me move from that river. Thought that there is probably something that die around here, or there is something that's probably that the squirrel seen. Of course, it was the predator, which is an eagle. And since, we talk about that, they're pair for life, you can see on the far left where we're going to take you over to now, there's another partner. There, when you look at the different color there, we're looking at the pale form. It's probably holding the wood, probably a little branch. This is probably about it's all about the, nesting material that this eagle is about now collecting. And it's got to be nest around here, where we're near Twin Dam. I'm not sure where the nearest nest here. I know the one close to Gari Dam. They usually lay 2 eggs. And then females just spend a lot of time in their eggs while the males go collect food, bring it. Sometimes they have time switch. While the male will take care of the nest, look for safety, and then female, there's the only time she'll go drink water or a little hunt from there, come back to the nest again. So they have a massive one. Wingspans stand on 140 centimeter, I think it's for the male. And now looking at the true eagle, they look at the feather all the way to its talons. The legs all covered with feather. So those are the type of the eagle that they won't play around with a venomous snake. Not easy for them, they don't deal with them. They actually prey on birds. These crop hares and guinea fowls and things. Dark eye looks. And I do call sometimes. This is when I male display the territory area, making sure that the other eagle that don't come around as a pair of the same species. For north, so you want to know if the eagles have a bone on their necks. Yeah, they have. And they have bone that actually sustain the whole neck, able to twist around. When you see the ears and the owl, it turns his head backwards. It's like 180, 130 degrees, which is almost far, looking at it direct backwards from just sitting without twisting the whole body, where the eagle pretty much similar like that, 130 degrees, turn around its head. So it can't actually swing around and come out in another position and look forward again. And that won't happen because these bones are kind of like a vertebra, small vertebra bone that support the whole neck. It shows busy cleaning around here. So these are type of eagles sometimes, whenever it's available, you see them feed on termites itself or flying termites, anything that's available. So they don't only go for big birds like guinea fowls and these spare fowls and things. Anything is available, lizard, except for these monitor lizard, which does deal with marshalls, but any other lizard, bladed lizard, will be taken. If it's actually good size of a small monitor lizard, would also be taken as well. So now, bird of prey and just the regular birds, it's actually hunting methods different. And many times, bird of prey, when they hunt, they're like kite, where they go down, and when they go down, possible they make sure when they release their talons, they already aim what they're going to get with these pretty much talons they have sharpening to support their hunt and feeding. So I'm going to move on, sending you over to Lauren with her spider.
I am over the moon, my first one of this year. Look, an orb web spider. It's not the golden. I don't actually know the species. It could be a type of garden orb, but it's stunning. Look at those checkered legs. I didn't ever think I would ever call a spider stunning. I am overjoyed they're back. I know many of you might not like spiders, but they are really incredible. And I can tell you for a fact this is a female. The females are unbelievably larger than the males. They also resort to sexual cannibalism. So if a male gets too close and the female's rather hungry, she will eat him. It's not easy being a male spider. You've got to remain small, just blend into your background and just get the job done. Now they're hanging upside down, in case you wondered. You can see the X shape. There's 2 legs on each point of the X, and this is really iconic of the orb web spiders. And they're upside down. I mean, they live, they feed, they breed, and they walk in an upside down position. I can't think of anything worse myself. We walk on land, forced down by gravity, grounded by the ground. We walk on land, and our legs support our body weight, and we can move around. But spiders have turned this whole scenario around, especially these guys, and they spend most of their lives sort of hanging suspended by their legs, and they swing. Now, how have they managed to do that? Now, how they managed, first question, is that they have disproportionately longer legs relative to a normal spider. Now, this enables them to move faster while bridging. What is bridging? Bridging is a technique that spiders actually use to move between plants. So this orb web here, I can't act... Oh, has he caught something down? Ah, there's the stabilimentum. Ah, he's going down to it. I wonder if... I'm sorry, I'm saying he. That is completely incorrect. She is going down to something that's caught in her web where the stabilimentum is. I think it could possibly be a moth or something. Oh, nice work there, Marcelo. Now, bridging is basically what she's doing right now. She's got part of her web on the combritum here, and she's got part of her web attached to the grass. She's created a bridge, and she's using this to move between plants. It's a silk bridge, obviously. This is because they're not good at being terrestrial. They're not fast, they're not quick. They can't really survive or thrive on the ground. They thrive suspended from silk. So this is exactly why they've got these long legs that allow them to move incredibly fast. If I got at this vehicle now, this female would scuttle away incredibly fast. And the long legs help them succeed while bridging. So they can walk on the ground, don't get me wrong, but they're just really clumsy. They've got long legs and a small body, so on land they're not adept at being on land whatsoever. And that's why they've got small thin legs. They've got quite a body mass. And for a spider, can you imagine trying to lift that body mass on your 8 skinny legs? It's not going to be easy. And that's what the orb web spiders do. Hanging upside down is easy for them. They're suspended. They're swinging. They're not on the ground. They don't need to be grounded. I'm over the moon. We're very close to Tingana, by the way. I just spotted this and I was so excited. Bonnie, you're saying you know it's a female because she's wearing fabulous, fashionable tights. Agreed. That is the exact reason that we know she's female. Look at them, though. If you had to look like any organism out here, would you not want to look like that? I would. Maybe not with 8 legs. I don't think I would look very nice with 8 legs. But she's swinging on her own silk. Silk that comes from her out of spinnerets, made from amino acids which have created protein. And it's extremely strong. And there's different types of glands in the spinnerets. The spinnerets are on the lower abdomen, on the underside. And this can create different types of silk. I believe there's up to 7 different types of silk, and they can be used in different ecological ways. They don't have the same function. So we just see silk, or some of us probably don't see it. It's very difficult. But they actually produce different types of silk. Spiders can have anywhere between 2 to 8 spinnerets, all on that lower abdomen, and that's exactly why they pull out the silk and they weave their web. Ah, what an incredible sighting. We are going to head back to our Duke now, and I believe JP has something interesting for you.
Good afternoon and welcome back to Tswalu. We've just been driving around and we found an aardvark burrow that was made last night. So we just wanted to check if anybody was home. But it doesn't seem so, because quite often if they are in that burrow, there will be sand that will be pushed through the front of it to make sure that there's only a narrow little slit and that he is protected from anybody that would like to get in there. And quite often we also find that there's a large amount of flies that are in the entrance of that little cavity. So just if you ever do find burrows like this and you do approach them, do so with caution and always rather come from the side. Quite often these burrows are used by a number of different animal species, including species such as warthog. So a warthog will normally move with their backside inside there and sit with their tusks to the outside. And should you do get in the way, they can potentially run you over or seriously injure you with those very, very sharp tusks. So often we find a number of different types of digs which aardvark will make. One of those are exploration dig, where they will make a little scratch or two, and you'll be able to see where the broad nails have marked in that little scratch in search of their favorite food, which is ants and termites. Sometimes they will make a slightly larger dig where they feed, and then in other cases an incredibly dig like this one, where they will overnight, and then from there never return to that burrow system. So one of the interesting things about aardvark is an incredibly long nose and incredibly large ears. And that nose is specifically designed for finding termites. And meanwhile, we're going to hand you over to Mike, who's currently viewing some buffalo.
Holy cannoli, look at all those flies. It's unbelievable. Now you can see why those buffaloes are constantly switching their tail and flicking their ears and tossing their heads about. I would also be driven absolutely insane if I had that many flies buzzing around me all the time. In fact, we had a whole bunch of them around us earlier, I think, as we passed by this buffalo herd's area. And yeah, it was quite infuriating. But there's that many around these buffaloes, and most of these ones are not biting. They're just trying to get onto the skin of the buffalo for the salts and the oils the buffaloes exude. Interestingly, the buffalo herd seems to be wanting to settle down over here. They've just finished drinking at Leopard Dam, and now a lot of them are starting to settle in the shade to the left of our vehicle, which is good. I'm glad to see that they feel that comfortable. And in this herd of buffalo is also one extremely young calf, although I can't see it now, but it's about the same age as the one we saw before. Oh, they're on the road. Second one. 2 tiny little calves. I don't know if you got that before it disappeared. That's another tiny little calf. Like, I wondered to myself that this couldn't possibly be the same herd because we're quite far. But, I mean, 2 calves in 2 different herds? That seems unusual. I mean, but anyway, that's amazing. A second tiny calf in this herd. If it is the same herd of buffalo, I haven't seen that blonde cow But if it is, they've moved 2 kilometers, and that's a long way for these tiny buffalo calves. Maria, the survival rate of buffalo calves is probably not great. I can't tell you the exact numbers, but it'll probably be a little bit higher than certain other herbivore species because of the fact that they're very good at looking after each other. They will defend each other and protect each other when they need to, chase off predators, and the calves are very resilient. And there's a lot of predators that just couldn't catch the calves. Sorry if my head's in the way there, Seb. Oh, quickly, let's go to Pinda.
Apologies everyone about Pinda. They'll be back with us shortly. Well, Tungana decided that he's not going to hunt anything. He wasn't hunting, but he was definitely something piqued his interest. And now he's found the perfect shade on Juma, which is wonderful. And he's snoozing. This is what you call flat cat, or lalapanzi, if you're on the radio. But I don't want to lose him. If we leave and no other vehicles are on lock, we could easily lose him, which is not ideal. So we may bumble if someone else can come and babysit or leopard sit. But for now, I think we're just going to sit tight with Tungana. He definitely doesn't look like his belly's completely empty. And with the grass this long, this is exactly how we don't find leopards. Once they lie flat like this, completely blend in. And he's not too far from where we saw Mulwati last night. Not far at all. And Mulwati was heavily scent marking. It was a fire break of Juma, but he was rubbing his sebaceous glands, squishing his urine, scraping. Mulwati was definitely claiming that road, just on the northern side of Juma, as his own. And Tungana is really not that far away. It's another reason I think he's going nomadic. I could be wrong. I don't feel we can conclusively say that yet. But his visits to other properties have really surprised people. People couldn't believe it when they saw him on Simbambili and Arathusa, and I got a message saying, "Oh, I'm so happy Tungana's came back to his old stomping grounds," because his territory used to cover that area. But then he shifted more east. Now, when any territorial animal meets pressure,
If the English started to move again, just, gonna check him for update.
sorry everyone. Copy, will do, Obsy. Still Lalapanzi now.
Copy.
So to be territorial is selfish. It's claiming something as your own. A communal resource. An area. It's saying, this is mine. And it takes a lot of energy to do so. And that's the one reason I think Tungana could be going that way, because it's really, really energetically costly to actually patrol, call, scent mark, constantly make sure that your odor fence, the one that you're creating when you're leaving your scent behind, is constantly fresh. If you leave that behind, that scent's going to fade away, and eventually what you'll find is that other leopards will think, well, this guy's not been around in a while, I'm going to come in and try and push. Your competitors will always push. It's a big game of push and pull out here. That's how I think of it. Not physically, but just in those territorial boundaries. I think it's just not easier. I think it's less expensive energetically for Tungana to be territorial. So from one sleepy cat, we're going to send you across to another.
Well, the one was up for a little while. Actually, the one facing away from us, looking in the opposite direction, she's the mom of the 2 cubs that are about 7 to 8 months old. And then the one lying closest to us, she's one of the oldest lionesses, one of the lead lionesses. She's about 13, 14 years old now. It's interesting that the Birmingham pride, that they are split off and they are here, the 2 of them together. It's quite nice to see. So the other one, she left her cubs probably in some thicket, in a riverbed, might be in the Timavati, might be close to the other lioness that has the 2 new cubs. But the rest of the Birmingham pride have all moved into Kruger. We tracked them this morning, an hour and a half, tracked them across the boundary. And then while we were walking, looking at their tracks where it crosses the boundary, we could actually hear them fighting over a carcass. So they must have killed something just east of our property, close to Open Camp, actually. But we couldn't see them. So hopefully they come back in tomorrow, especially with the lioness and her 2 new cubs, these 2 lionesses, and the 2 older cubs still there. So I think the other lioness just got up and moved quickly because of the flies. So you can see this one is fast asleep. She hasn't even opened her eyes since we've been here. You see the ears flicking, trying to get rid of the flies. But they haven't moved too much. If you look at all the grass, how it's squished underneath them, I think they've almost just been moving around the shady spot as the sun, as the sun has moved, but no, actually as the earth has turned. Predators, again, there's not too much lioness. I think that other one, the younger one, might get up and move towards her cubs fairly soon. Strange for it to be awake this early. It's 5 minutes, 10 to 6 now. Still very, very hot, but I think she's almost getting ready to move back north. Go see what her 2 youngsters are up to. They're gorgeous lioness, actually very, very, very big, just like her mother. So her mother be the white dot female, the one with the white dot bum on her rump. So we're going to sit here for a while. Actually, I'll wait for her to get up, find a shady spot. Sit here for a while and see what they get up to.
Good luck, Rowan. I believe your lion might not move for some time, as with Tringana here. The heat has probably wiped them out, just like it's doing to us. Oh, Tringana, you make me laugh. But again, when it's hot like this, as I mentioned, energetics. It's one of the reasons the cats are nocturnal. It's far too hot. It's far too hot to hunt and move. They can if they see an opportunity. But on days like today, it's really important that he just rests and he becomes more active. Oh. He becomes more active as the sun goes down. Isn't it so peaceful just lying here watching a sleeping animal? I spend remarkable amounts of time doing so. Most of our time out here we watch animals sleep. There's something wonderful about it. A dominant male that's lived a life that we could only begin to understand. So that's exactly what we're going to do. Sit and continue to watch him snooze.
So as you can see, we're still with this herd of buffalo, and they've moved excuse me, slightly further away from the waterhole now, and they're passing through this little open area, which gives us a nice view of them as they move along. There were two males that were having a little bit of a standoff, a little bit of head bashing and pushing, but they seem to have worked out their differences now, and they're getting on with life, leading the herd along this drainage line away from the waterhole. Just stopping to sniff and eat a few grasses here and there. None of this grass that we can see in front of us now is particularly palatable. It's short in this area because it's close to the drainage line, lots of minerals around here. And so they'll eat it whilst it's full of the minerals, but the grass itself is not particularly palatable or tasty. They would like the grass that's a little bit closer to the drainage line itself. That's in the shade and the shelter. That is growing more thick and luscious. And you can hear them grunting and groaning and bellowing as they push and shove themselves away from this waterhole. And there's another animal that's making a lot of noise behind us. It stopped for the moment, but there sounds like there's a herd of buffaloes that's making a lot of noise. A herd of elephants that's making a lot of noise behind us. Now, we did get to see an elephant bull mating. I think it was yesterday or the day before, and he might still be in that state of must, and so looking for more females to mate with. So he might be causing that herd to panic a little bit. Can't hear them for now. So you can see every now and again buffalo starting to just sort of sit down. It's been very hot today, and if they are the same herd of buffalo that moved all the way from Leopard Dam to Indlovu Dam over here, it means they've moved quite a distance, and so the youngsters will be exhausted, they'll all be a bit tired. They're looking for a place to rest now. Jumping Castle, thank you for asking. I was also worried about it. We didn't see the buffalo once they left the dam, but when we watched it for about half an hour before they left, it didn't seem to have any signs of being injured at all. It seemed to be fine, walking around. It even started suckling a little bit, so I think it was probably fine. If nothing else, I think it just got a little bit of a fright from being flipped up into there, but luckily it landed in the water. The mother and the calf were standing in that shallow water near the mud, so even if it got flipped in the air, it managed to land in the water fairly soft. I'm sure it didn't hurt itself too badly. I mean, they're incredibly tough. As I've mentioned loads of times before, buffaloes are becoming my favorite animals of the big five because they're just so resilient and tough, and they really show off the best of what it means to be wild and tough and resilient and able to withstand tough punishment. So there's a male in front of us here who's rubbing his chin on the back side of this other female, and perhaps he's interested in mating too. But in the meantime, whilst we watch this herd slowly moving, we'll send you over to Kim with a rhino drinking.
So we've been sitting with these rhino, and they've been showing some quite interesting behavior. First, they were the young bull was herding the wildebeest out of his way so that he could get to the watering hole that you see him at now. They came in at a long drink, and then they came over to a rhino midden, and both of them urinated and defecated. And then they've walked back over to the watering hole, and we were just talking about how interesting it is that they will actually, seek out a midden to do their business on. They're quite determined to do it there rather than just in a random place. And I've actually seen rhinos, when they're disturbed close to a midden, they'll kind of hang around the area until they feel like it's all clear, and then they'll go back to the midden to go about their business of defecating and urinating. And a rhino midden is more or less like I suppose it's kind of like a messaging or signal kind of for rhinos. So rhinos will defecate on a midden, and then all other white rhinos that come past that midden will know who or what other animals or what other rhinos have been in the area. If it's a bull looking to mate, he'll be able to work out whether there's been a female in the area very recently, and he'll try and seek her out. So it's, I suppose, a mode of communication. And that's why they'd rather save their message for a midden rather than just plopping it in the middle of nowhere. Lazy boy, I do not know how many litres a rhino can drink in a day. I'm sorry. Don't know that fact, but I can tell you that it is a lot. When we were sitting here earlier, when these two came for their first drink, he had a very, very long drink. I mean, like a few minutes of just head down and sucking that water up. And then, like I said, he came and did an extremely long wee, probably weed for as long as he'd been drinking for, and then went back and drank some more. So I think that it's a lot. I won't be able to give you a number, though, unfortunately. Sorry. It's quite interesting that now they just seem to be standing there by the water, not really doing much. I think the mother looks like she's grazing a little bit. You can imagine all the shoots of grass are quite a lot more tasty closer to the water. Is she eating or is she just resting her head? I can't see. I think she's just resting her head. There's a little bush in the way for me. You can imagine that head's quite heavy to carry around the whole time. I understand why she needs to have herself a little rest. Her eyes are actually closed. She looks like she's gone to sleep. Lorraine, I am going to have a think about that. What is the most interesting thing I've seen a rhino do? I think something quite interesting is always different animal interactions. So when rhinos interact with other animals, we've had it right now where the young bull was being quite kind of asserting himself quite dominantly to that herd of wildebeest. But an interesting one is lions and rhinos. I think neither of them really know where they stand in the kind of wild animal hierarchy. They don't know which one should be more scared of the other. So that's quite an interesting thing to see with rhinos, that little back and forth. I can't really think. Even just seeing that rhino urinate for like 3 minutes was quite interesting. These two look like they are starting to have a little combined nap. That mother's definitely closed her eyes. The youngster looks like he's getting impatient. But we, I think, are going to move on from here. And while we do that, we'll send you over to a relaxed leopard.
Mr. Tungana's awake. The temperature's has dropped by about 1/6 of a degree, but we can feel it. This is good news. Now, going back to territory, because it's really interesting while sitting here with Tungana. I've already mentioned that social dominance in any organism is selfish behavior. That's what it's termed as, any form of social dominance. That's not a negative thing. It's just you are ensuring priority to your resources at sort of any present time and future time. And you can call, and I'm not just talking Tungana sawing, bird song, wolves, lions, lots of different animals call. You can patrol, you can be very aggressive and evict your enemies. But it's energetically costly, like I mentioned. So everything in nature strives for balance. So you always have to think, what is the counterbalancing thing at play? What is the counterbalance of the energetic cost at being a territorial male? What are you winning here? What are you getting? Yes, you've got prime access to resources, but you can also be nomadic. There was nomadic lions in the Masai Mara. You can also survive. There's food everywhere. There's females everywhere. So what are you gaining from it? And the counterbalance of the great cost is basically a greater fitness benefit. Your benefit gives you exclusive rights. Food, shelter, nursery, breeding, and all of that. And because it's such, it increases a male's fitness benefit a tenfold, and that's exactly why they do it. That's the counterbalance. And territorial behavior, social dominance is not just, we tend to think of mammals, we tend to think of cats, including myself, but really limpets, crickets, butterflies, flies, ants, wasps, bees, spiders, frogs, shrimps, turtles, alligators, lots of fish, especially coral reef fish can be very territorial and aggressively so. Hello, Tengano. Welcome to the real world. And also birds and mammals. So basically you get all kinds of examples of being territorial, and having a territory doesn't have to be a big area. It can really be a small area if you're a small organism, from about a diameter squared, if that's even possible, to a huge area like what Tengana's got here. So it really does depend what type of organism you are and how exactly you are patrolling. And I wanted to give you a funny example. I've given you this one before, but it makes me laugh. So I mentioned that limpets are territorial. Now, limpets are basically snails, and they live on the rocks, on the ocean tide lines, and I'm sure you've seen them a million times when you've been to the beach. And they've got a muscular foot, and that's how they move. It sucks them onto the rocks, and they pretty much don't really move, but they have to move to feed. So using that muscular foot, they'll sort of move very, very slowly across the rocks, and it has something called a radula. And a radula is almost like a tongue, but it's... Oh, okay, good night. It functions to scrape. It's more like a scraping organ, and this limpet scrapes all the algae off the rocks. But they're territorial. Can you believe it? They're territorial. And each individual will defend their very small patch of rock. And what they must ensure is that they keep others out. That's their prime focus. Keep everyone away from your patch, your little turf of rock with algae. And you always want to ensure that you have a steady supply of algae. You can never run out. You've got to harvest correctly. And basically, territorial limpets will actually shove intruders, and what they're trying to do is dislodge them, release that muscular foot from sucking onto the rock, cast them into the surf so that they die. And that's territorial behavior in limpets. They aggressively fight, and they don't have arms or legs. They're trying to shove one another. So most likely the larger individual with the largest muscular foot will probably win and shove the other one off. The other one will fall off the rock, land in the ocean, and die. It's not funny. It's just mind-blowing, because when we think of territory, I personally am guilty of thinking about mammals. Mandy, I think we've touched on this a fair bit today, but I think, again, it comes down to fitness benefit. So if we're using Tengana as an example here, he's older, he's 14 years old. And although he's in great condition, he really is, he's got competitors. He's got younger, bigger boys coming in that want to compete with him. So in order to survive, he could potentially just become nomadic. So he is giving up his territory because he can still survive out here. He can still weave and navigate the landscape. Females will still mate with him. He can still hunt. He can still kill. So it's all about energetics, really. That's what will make them give up. If he's not sustaining life, if it's becoming sort of too costly for him and he's not gaining the benefit because he's got new intruders and new competitors, then that could be a decision to sort of go a bit nomadic at a later stage in life. It is quite common in leopards. It just takes a lot out of them to be territorial, to have that social dominance. So there's constantly an influx of males. And I think the real push for Tingana lately has been Mulwati, who seems to be expanding his territory quite far and wide. From what I can gather, Mulwati's territory is very large. And maybe it just came to a point where Tingana thought, poof, I'm just going to live the chill life. Take it easy, clearly. So you've always got to sort of weigh up and counterbalance the effects. Is it worth it? Are you still getting greater fitness benefits? If not, then why do it? I hope that answered your question, Mandy. But for an older male, although Tingana's big and he's in great condition, Mulwati's young and in his prime and also very large. It's not worth the risk to Tingana. He's solitary. Can't risk getting injured at this age. Leopards can go into others' territory. It's not a fence, it's not a wall, it doesn't have a passcode. They'll just be able to sniff the scent of others to say, aha, I know who this is, I know what I'm doing. Either take the warning or ignore it. But it's a huge area of land. So if you enter into another's territory, you're taking that risk. You look so perfect sleeping there. I would like to bumble and possibly just head to the dam, but I'm also just worried that we lose him. The minute he gets up and he decides to, well, move into the thick grass, we'll lose him, and that's what I don't want because there's no other vehicles here. Debs, you were asking, are leopards colorblind? I don't believe so. Their eyes are extremely different from our eyes. Sorry about that. Their eyes are completely different from ours. They have a special layer called the tapetum lucidum. That's Latin, and it reflects light back onto the retina and helps them see at nighttime. So they're specialized at sort of nocturnal vision, if you like. They can absolutely see in the daytime, but they've got it's a specially designed eye to help them see at nighttime because they are nocturnal predators at the end of the day. But I do believe they see in color. As for what colors, I'm not entirely sure, but they don't see in black and white. They've got binocular vision as well, and this is to help them gauge distance and depth, and that helps them sort of accurately make a hunt, accurately kill. That's why they're sharp, forward-facing eyes. And they've got a high number of rod cells. There's rods and cones, and that's why a lot of people think that the cats see in black and white because of the rod cells. They assist in nocturnal vision. They help in black and white detection, and there's more of them in the eyes of a leopard than there are in humans. Their eyes are said to be 7 times better than humans, so 7 times, and, well, a lot better than mine, that's for sure. Okay, I'm going to make my decision on what to do. Should I stay? Should I go? And for now, we're going to send you across to Andrew.
Thanks very much. Lauren. So we came back from that river because, anyway, we have to move away from that eagle. So we're searching on the eastern boundary and possible for Kalamba because she was last seen last night around in that area. And the last track that she was seen, she was moving into Gari, but where the property we're at right now. Anyway, we don't come any luck. So bird is gone. It was actually paradise wider. You see the male, it's got a beautiful tail and the blackish kind of like band in the neck, like slightly, deep, kind of orange. So the males only change that color and they have that tail during the mating season, which is now. Where otherwise, if there's no mating season happening in there, they same as a female slightly, kind of grainish with a little, kind of like a spot a bit, but yeah, there was a paradise wider. Now we're looking at our sun. It's going to be a beautiful sunset there, but it looks like the weather's also changing. And then the heavy cloud, it's coming from way distance up south. And then that's where now the breeze takes place, is where it's cooling off. But more likely have a very heavy cloud, maybe at night. Who knows, if the cloud pushes too much to the north, then we'll actually would have a very dark cloud at night. So that's why it brings me here to have a look, because the last update about the Kalamba tracks was coming into Juma. We know she's a machinery. She kills it quite a lot, and she was seen feeding yesterday. It happens she probably abandoned the meat or gets stolen, or she finishes. And then it happens maybe she's either taking it easy wherever she is, or on a hunt, or she killed again. So I was trying to listen to possible squirrels back there. I even got down and walk into one of the trees that there's a squirrels calling. Thought maybe there's got to be a cat down there, and it was no cat. I can't actually wait to see her again, just to see how she's doing. But also, this is how we keep up with the cats in the area. Once we know they're in the area, it's so important to know where they are, and if they ever move where we expect to look for them. For the past few days, it was slightly very difficult, because then we have to search the boundary for leopard tracks, because there was nothing coming in, or not knowing if there's anything in Juma, until that Kalamba came in, and finally Tingana came in, and Hukumuru also slightly came in. So it's so important. And what we haven't heard is this. I know there was a tracks of wild dogs, and the guys were following up on them up north into Bebesuk, where there's no report about them. Where the tracks were seen this morning, I think just after the game drive. So Kes, you're very right. It's such a beautiful out here, especially when it's in a golden, kind of like cloudy, and when the sun goes down, all you see is a rich, beautiful gold build up. And then that provides more even beauty than we thought. So it's so good, and I'm very much 100% sure. I love the sunset as well out here, especially in the bush. Even maybe we're home, it's still the same. It's so that there, the noises is so much, all of us, cars and things. So, but if you're in the wild here, it's all just dead quiet. So you're more likely to enjoy the sunset, and it's beautiful. So we're going to be dropping down to the river. Let's see if we can maybe just do the silent segment right here in this. Because now we're going to go down to the river anyway. So let's just see if we can listen to the audio bush. Indeed, it's such a beautiful hymn. I think I got your name right there, Dorcas. You want to know what time the sun set? So it kept actually changing quite a lot, and that makes a lot of a change to, all day, now, we're in the middle of a summer, where for sure, I'll tell you what the time is set, but that's normally for us in a summer. So sunset 18:45 for now, but it may change. During the course of the week. Maybe next week is going to be maybe 18:90, things like that. Then it's going to be changed. So all season, winter, there is a specific sunrise and a time sunset. So due to these, then we would expect to see a time change quite often. So 18:45, that's a sunset, and then 5:06 in the morning, that's a sunrise. It's actually, we're in Mpumalanga right now, remember, in Lowveld. But if you go somewhere else, maybe up north, where the landscape is pretty much maybe slightly higher, you find a different sunset there. So I'm going to shift forward just to see if we get anything. So as you can see, that's what we just saw there. It's such a beautiful sunset, full in Africa. It is, and it's so lovely. That's where, when it comes, but if you actually in one of the vehicle game drive, you all in gin and tonic, just watch the beautiful of a sunset and drink as you witness the sun go down. So I'm going to take another road from one of the junctions. It's called Supergate Junction. British, you want to know what is my favorite leopard sighting? Or animal sighting, sorry. Leopard, it's my favorite sight. I think they're cats, and they're more difficult to be seen. So that's what. And then leopard in general, they come so much. They can be favorite for everyone because when you track for them, sometimes you can take a long time to track and find one. Or those different when you track lions, because they're more likely that you're gonna have to track for the whole pride. And then you see tracks, even when you're driving the car, you can still see the tracks red in front of you. Where with a leopard, you go down and look at the tracks, and again switch the car, or you get off, walk around. And it's more actually very harder to find, especially during this time where the grass is a lot taller. And then you're very lucky if you actually spot one, like this morning with that Tingane. Spot him from the road. The chance was looking at us, or he's probably want to get mobile that time we get there. So it comes very much my favorite sighting. Leopard, it is my favorite. And more likely when you spend time with them, enough time just to see how they do when the time got into, dark. That's where you normally witness all of the action when they groom themselves, clean their eyes, lick their paws, and on and on. And just to make sure they are awake. And then they can see clearly when they're on move again. So we're looking at our beautiful bird, which actually, crested francolin, one of the spare fowl around here, where they can also, whenever it's dangerous around, you will see them. So they can give a call whenever it's dangerous around them, whether a snake, whether it's a leopard, whether it's a bird from the air, which is an eagle. But then if it's a leopard, they're more likely to give a call while they're up in the trees, because now the leopard's got to be on the ground. If it's an eagle, they will give a call, then they're in hiding under the bushes, then whatever they're scared of, it's up in the air. So they actually they can indicate you most birds out here. Not only impala, they can indicate if there's any predators around, birds in general, they can also tell you that there's anything around us. So it's gone. But, we're in an area where Tlalamba, she move in and out of this area. So the reason I chose to come take this road over here, it's because I sometimes we come across on her moving along one of the road here. So I'm going to be sending you over to ROAN with a line.
So this was actually quite fun. We followed these two lionesses. The younger one is the one licking her paws now. Her youngsters are just to her, are right, the direction she's looking in now. So she actually came back and she called twice. And these two little babies just came bounding out of the long grass straight towards her. The little female spent some time greeting her mom, and the male just went straight for the teat and started drinking. They didn't drink for too long. I don't think she has that much milk left anyway. And then she just got over it and started walking. And like she is now, she'll come walk towards us, hopefully. No, she's going to play with the youngsters first. Let's see what she does. And the older auntie is still on the road. Yeah. But the youngsters have been naughty because the mom started walking away, coming up this road, going west. And the two babies just carried on south. They went to go drink water. So the mom realized about 100 meters later that the youngsters weren't following her anymore, and she had to turn around and go call again. And again, these two babies just came bounding towards her. I'm going to go a little bit forward. See, maybe she's playing with them. Maybe they are playing around her. We can get a view. The grass is extremely long. I mean, we are about 40 meters off and we can't even see them. Just see a black tip on the tail every now and then. So let me stop here. It looks like she's cleaning the two babies. I don't think she'll spend too much time just sitting here. She might get up soon and walk a way further. But she'll come back to the road and follow that path. It's just a path of least resistance again. Just see ears and paws and a tail and nails. Oh, they are cute. They have not seen the mom the entire day either. So I'm pretty sure they love the social aspect of it. Profound how easily they can disappear. And the auntie is just sleeping again, like that old grandmother of the family. I must say that, a very fierce grandmother. We were talking about it earlier. She probably weighs about 160, 170 kilograms. She's massive. I remember when the Rossmales just took over territory, they got into a fight with this female and her sister. That's the one with the white dot. And I think they bit her right ear. So her right ear was actually drooping down for quite some time. I think every time she popped it up, it would hurt too much, so it drooped down. She actually started walking a bit lopsidedly because of that. Now she's perfectly fine again. Just a little bit old. Okay, see the leg is up. Wonder if she's letting them drink. They've got very, very, very sharp teeth now. So if they are drinking, they won't be drinking for too long. It hurts her too much. See, let me see. I can probably get to the other side of the road and can get a better view. Sorry, PK, just bear with me. It's just the two youngsters playing with each other, leaving Mama. There she goes. Okay, see, now it's time to walk again. You can actually hear her panting quite hard. Sorry, I was just checking what the lioness is doing. How far she's walking. These two will follow soon after this game. Here comes the older lioness. She's also up and following. Got an enormous scar on her rump. Excuse me. It's like naughty children. I don't know if it's time to go yet. That's the little female that's up now. And the little male's still lying down, so she's following first. And the male's trying to keep her here. Oh, he might chase her. Actually, she's going to stalk him. This is the poorest game of hide and seek I've seen ever. I must say, it's actually such an incredible thing to be able to watch these two grow up from, you know, the first time we saw them when we found the den up to where they are now. I'm just going to turn a little bit. It's actually quite nice. They are walking in the direction of the sunset, so they're walking west. The two females are in front, and so they're walking quite slowly, every now and then just listening for any opportunity, also smelling for any opportunity to hunt. So we're going to stay with them for a while. The youngsters being a bit more curious about us and the females, so we'll stay with them and we'll follow them just for a little while longer.
Have you been watching Wild Earth and dreamt of being right there on safari with one of the guides? Well, now you can. Wild Earth is offering you a chance to buy a ticket to dream. You or a friend can hop on board a live Wild Earth show and join our guide on safari. The ticket is redeemable at any of our locations, anytime in the future. Only a limited number of tickets are available, so don't wait. Get your ticket now and start dreaming. Terms and conditions apply.
My name is Lauren, and I'm currently working in Djuma Private Game Reserve here in South Africa. I love answering your questions during the live safaris. It's my favorite part. It feels like you're on the vehicle with me, and I'm able to teach you exactly what you want to know. If you want to ask a question on Wild Earth, then you need to register on our website. Once registered, you must go to the live safari page and ask your question below the live feed. Welcome to my car. This is Wendy, and she's my favorite. She would love to have your name engraved on her so you can be with her every single time she goes on a safari here in Djuma. If you become a Wild Earth Explorer, you will have the opportunity to buy an engraved tag, which we will attach to her. We will make sure to send you a digital picture to show you exactly where you are sitting on her. You will have front row seat in every single sighting.
We've seen these ellies really chase wild dogs before. Let's get into spot. There we go, here it comes. Look at that, isn't that amazing?
Expect the unexpected here on Wild Earth daily.
She knocked him over, or he knocked her over. Now she's going to go for the tree. Please go up the tree. Show him he can't do it. Yeah, they're not the best climbers. Pity about the power lines. Do you think we should try and get ahead of her again?
Sorry about that, everyone. You're now with us, and luckily, we have the moon. It's a difficult find. It's not easy tracking the moon, but we did it. And I'm just in the process of opening up my moon app. Oh, it's loading. Who designed apps? I will get it for you. I think it's full moon. Is it full moon tonight, Marcel? 99.8%. Yes, it is full moon. Right in the fork of that marula. We're next to the hyena den. We decided to leave Tungana. He's very, very flat. And just thought we would admire the moon. Earth's only permanent natural satellite. Beaming down on us. Probably why I slept so horribly last night. Filled with nightmares, and I just could not sleep. Shall we bumble to the hyena den? It's right here, and I've already heard that it's active. So if you just give us 30 seconds, we shall go and see who is present. I believe an adult is present, but I always need to check for myself. Okay, quickly over to Mike.
What you're looking at right now is a pair of elegant grasshoppers that are mating. And most interesting of all is that they're mating on an incredibly beautiful plant that's called a dwarf coral tree. And now I've never seen elegant grasshoppers mating before. You can really see how the abdomen is twisted under to meet the female's ovipositor. And they're swapping material, or the male is giving her sperm, and then she will lay fertilized eggs, maybe even on this plant. So this plant is a dwarf coral tree, and as you can see, it's got spectacular flowers that are just coming into bloom right now, which is amazing. It's the first ones I've seen. I mean, I've seen the plant or the small shrub itself, but I've not seen the flowers yet here on Pride Lands. And it looks like there are two of them, which is pretty amazing. Now, they usually grow in the sheltered areas closer to where there's homes and camps, and are actually not that far from the HQ, which is an old farmstead. So this might have been leftovers from that, but it is a native tree and it grows all over this area. And interestingly, it's got a few traditional human uses. Now, we've been watching these tiny calves of these buffaloes, and we saw the umbilical cords hanging down. Now, wild animals' umbilical cords just have to fall off and heal by themselves. But this plant is used in many traditional medicines by taking the bark, burning it into ash, and then ash would be applied to the umbilical cord of a newborn baby, and that would help to seal the wound and help it to heal, which is quite interesting. And another use for this particular plant is that they would take the roots traditionally, boil them and make a fermentation. Oh, the grasshoppers are going up the other stem now. And then they would apply that to a sprained ankle or wrist, and it was supposed to help to reduce the swelling and help the healing process. As you can see, those two elegant grasshoppers now. The female is the larger one, the male is on the back, the slightly smaller one, and it's making its way up the stem. I actually thought it might have been going up the stem to lay an egg. I've no idea why it would be climbing up and down the stem like that. Perhaps just going about its normal business. Now, I don't know. There were a few moments ago a lot of ants also crawling on some of the flower heads. Now, I suspect those ants are looking for two things. On one side, any sugary secretions that might be coming from the flowers themselves. And on the other side, there are small insects called aphids, or insects like aphids, which tap into that sugary sap just underneath the surface of the plant. And when they feed on that, there's a byproduct from the feeding which comes out that's quite sugary and lots of water. And the ants will often drink that. So sometimes they actually look like they're tending the aphids and protecting them. But these ants don't seem to be protecting any aphids at this moment exactly. A very interesting plant nonetheless, one that we don't see very often. Have you seen a coral tree before? Or a dwarf coral tree? For those of you who are interested in the scientific name, it's Erythrina humana. I'm not sure what the humana is referring to, but perhaps it's close association with humans. But whilst we watch these two amorous grasshoppers, we'll send you over to some sleepy hyenas with Lauren.
So we made it. We were actually almost there, but here we are at what one calls the Misi Kaya, the home of the hyenas. Since the elephants chased him away this morning, Heart's not here, so Heart's son and daughter are wandering around aimlessly, but Ribbon's here. And let's take a look at her, Marcello. She does look rather skinny. She's with her boys, Ngwazi and Shimbulu. But look how skinny she is. I mean, Ribbon is she's normally so fat that she looks like a hot air balloon just gliding into the den. So she's definitely weak. She's definitely empty-bellied, and she needs food. That's what's going to help her bounce back from this injury. Now, in the background, we have Intima, who was also here this morning. Ribbon's daughter. And it was interesting. Ribbon ran to Intima this morning when the elephants came and sat right next to her. And I just wonder, they're very close, they're mother and daughter, and I just wonder whether there's some sort of awareness that mom is injured. Mom is unwell. Of course, they'll be able to smell the wound, the blood, the possible pus that comes out as well, the sort of all the smells that you get when there's an open wound in one's skin. But I wonder if there's an awareness that Ribbon's weak right now. And Tima wouldn't leave her side this morning. I really do think Ribbon will be okay, but she needs a good meal. And if her leg is that painful, then possibly maybe she won't be able to get it herself. Maybe she'll need the help of others. But Marcel thought he thought, let me try that again. Marcel thought he saw teeth marks this morning. She's got scrapes on 2 legs. So of course we don't actually know what caused her injury. But there's definitely open wounds. No sign of June, and no sign of Corky or her daughter, which could possibly mean that Corky's with her, just further off in the distance. I've noticed they do that. When we don't see the daughter around, she's normally around, she could actually be with Corky right now, but just on the other side of the den. Jem, you're saying a big hello to the Juma clan. Yes. My favourite clan in the world. Aren't they just incredible? Jim says hello, y'all. They say hello back, Jim. You just didn't hear it. You don't speak hyena. But in all fairness, in Dima, her belly is just ginormous, and I really, really want to get to the bottom of Ntima. She's spending a lot of time here. So what I've been doing is every time I come to this den, which as many of you know is a lot, I drive past den 2. Just in case Ntima's using that one. It wouldn't surprise me. But I never see any activity. It's still freshly dug, but I never see the presence of an adult there. So Ntima, what is going on with you? I think she's good. She's either a mother or preparing to be one very soon. Okay, so it seems like I'm not the only one who's found the moon tonight. Mike has as well.
The beautiful, almost full moon. Tomorrow is technically the full moon. It's almost as good tonight. And a little bit of alarm calling happening as well. There's a few giraffes around us. There's some zebras up ahead, which I'm hoping I'm going to pass underneath the full moon. But maybe all the animals are acting strange because of it, because of this very bright moon tonight. It's probably going to mean a lot of activity of the herbivore species, probably less activity of the predators, because the full moon is going to be providing a lot of light, so the herbivores will be able to see fairly clearly what's moving about them. And we're not so far from Impala Plains, that big open area that we've seen the wildebeest herd with the youngsters moving about on. It really is gorgeous. Beautiful time of the afternoon. Just going to sit for 20 seconds and listen to the sounds of nature. Not sure if you can hear that. Just off to the north of us, there's a few impalas alarming, and there's the zebra now coming into the road ahead of us. None of them seem to be paying too much attention to that alarm calling, so I think it's just normal evening jitters. The impalas are getting rid of some nervous energy, and there's a little baby impala walking in the background as well. Nice group of animals that are coming here because of the fact that there's a big open clearing nearby. So when it does get a bit darker, or if it gets a bit windier, they can all go into the open clearings. But what a peaceful moment.
Especially with this animal in the foreground and her 2 youngsters. So they had a half attempt at a hunt. I think they actually went into the bush scared some kudu. The kudu ran, and then now she's just continuing past. To give an idea how well they did, BK, can you just focus on that one? You could barely see her. I don't think even the other lioness knew this lioness was here when she walked past. She looks very tired. I think it's just the heat of the day that really gets to them. But I mean, this scene, the sky, the moon, and then the two youngsters also still coming our way, is absolutely magnificent. Oh, very playful. They play, they catch up. And they play some more and they catch up. And they play very, very rough. So that's the scary thing. We're probably about 5 meters away from them. And if you didn't know they were there, you could walk past and you wouldn't really see them. Those little eyes look up. So the parents just scared of Franklin, which is the sound that you heard in the background. There's a little lioness in front, and then behind is the brother, the lighter one. Okay, so we're going to leave these lions, make space for another ranger. We don't want to overcrowd the area, especially with the mothers fighting. So what we're going to do is send you over to Kim with some fighting impala.
We have got quite a high energy scene here. We're a bunch of impala who are, well, as you can see, rutting, and oh, that one stuck his horn into the mud. Probably trying to add some, oh my gosh, some mud to his horns to make his horns appear thicker and stronger and bigger. It's quite an interesting unfolding of events. That young rhino that you can see in the background has also been being quite boisterous and chasing, seems like a young group. There's a mother and then the calf and then 3 other younger rhinos, but much older than this youngster. But he's been throwing his weight around and chasing all the other rhinos, all the other youngsters away. I don't think he wants to share his mother with them. He's also making little whining noises, begging for milk. And we were just discussing the rhino's age. We think he must be maybe about a year old, which is when they're supposed to stop suckling. And their horn starts to get a little bit too big, so it's quite uncomfortable for the mother to allow them to suckle, and she'll actually kind of push him away or not really allow him to suckle. I think that he might have realized that, and that's why he's not trying too hard to suckle from her. But he's a very confident little guy, just walking off quite far away from Mum, checking out his surroundings. Definitely doesn't seem very nervous. I'll try and move forward a bit. When my car responds, then we will move forward. But for now, we were also just discussing, I think this is the mother here. You can see she's got quite an enormous barrel of a belly. And that's the other thing that's quite interesting about rhinos, is that they can actually mate and become pregnant very soon after they've given birth. So I think apparently like maybe 3 months after they've given birth, they are ready to mate again and become pregnant, and they're pregnant for 16 months. So by the time they are ready to give birth to their next calf, their current calf should be able to be weaned and head off on his own. I'm going to wait for my car to move, but we'll send you over to some swimming elephants with Andrew.
Cool. So everyone, we came to Gari Dam here because we take a few roads outside, and we heard it kind of like probably something here at the dam, and then it's an elephant swimming, so they're having their good time swimming. It's not actually a very bad day for them to do so, since it's they're all two of them there, so they're all taking it easy, and then they weren't gonna go anywhere for now until they're fine with whatever they're doing. Swimming, we actually all know a swim during the course of the temperatures of the day. But today when we started, I think we all noticed that the temperature was far too much. It looks like a youngest elephant, not a really, really fully growing one. Where it happens, other member of this group, probably around, where they're actually too young male, though. I can't wait to see the rest of the other group returning back here. Because also they might want to swim. You're right, it's such a cool sighting. Elephants that do this for their own benefit during the heart of the day. And when they're done that, it's not all actually about getting their body clean. It's all about cooling off. After these, they will be muddy, they will go into sand, they will go to mud again. And they'll get dirty. Throw sand over their back. So it's not all about getting clean for them. They've never actually been clean, elephants. So it's actually a lot of activity that they're doing, quite a lot of that's usual. They will try and mount, but since they have a lot of choices, when they go over on top of each other, put a trunk on top of each other. Well, I think it was a couple of days ago, was one single hippo in this water hole, where he might actually move somewhere else. So I'm gonna stay put here. Hopefully the other herd rejoin this two young one that are swimming.
So we have also got an unbelievably beautiful full moon, as the rest of South Africa do as well. I feel like we had to jump on the beautiful moon bandwagon this afternoon. But I think we are just going to sit and enjoy it in silence. We're still with these rhinos, and we're hoping that they'll maybe move up a little bit closer so that we can have the moon and the rhinos all in frame for you guys. But we're going to just sit and enjoy for now.
Now, we actually went on a little adventure to see if Corky was possibly nearby with her daughter, but no luck. I mean, they still could be, it's very thick, but there's certain spots that I've noticed the hyenas like, and I checked all of them. I can't see signs of them, but Hart, I think Andrew got really lucky yesterday in watching Hart walk back to the den with her son and daughter. So the adults are taking them on little ventures. They are a lot more mobile than they would originally appear. There's no water anywhere near here anymore. It's all dried up because of the intense heat. It's evaporating. That was very dramatic. Do you need attention? So yes, it's very possible that mothers will lead them to mud wallows on Pangolin Track or possibly down to Treehouse Dam. That's maybe too exposed. Just to let them drink, especially on hot days like this. So they are moving from the den, but not without mum. They'll follow mum's instructions. And I also believe that sometimes when we've came to this den and it's been completely empty day after day after day, that they possibly have moved. This seems to be the base. Philemon's Den 3 seems to be the base for them all. But generally speaking, the cubs are getting older, at least this lot. And Corky's daughter. June's cub, not so much. And Tima, can you turn around the other way, please? Now, Ribbon, as the matriarch, will need to obviously keep producing strong, rich, delicious and nutritious milk for this pair. I didn't catch that name, but at what age will Ribbon's cubs stop fighting? Suckling. Marcel's doing sign language. It's very fascinating. I wish I could show you. Thanks, Marcel. Suckling. My apologies. Anywhere between 18 months to 2 years. 2 years is at the sort of very end of the spectrum. But they do suckle to 18 months, which is incredible. It's one of the longest lactation periods, but they supplement it with meat. And it's a real gradual process. They start to get the taste of meat. Just keeping my eye on this little munchkin. When the mothers bring the carcasses back and they get all excited, they love the smell, they see the reaction of the adults, they follow suit, but they can only really nibble. They can't really eat meat at that stage, not large chunks of it. And this slowly allows them to understand meat, get equipped to deal with a rotten carcass. I know that doesn't sound very pleasant, but gets their little immune systems ready, gets their digestive systems ready, and slowly but surely, every time they come across a carcass, they'll eat more and more and more. But Ribbon's pair, Ngwazi and Shimbulu, thank you, and Tima. Oh, no. Let's take a little look. Ngwazi and Shimbulu will start getting very mobile soon with their mum. They'll start to move a lot. She looks so full down there, doesn't she? I wish I could just put a camera on Tima and follow her every move. I don't know if that would be very ethical, but I would just love to know if she's got cubs or not. She's very full down there. She's definitely either lactating or preparing to start lactating. Okay, from my sleepy slumber party, we're going to send you over to a very active pool party.
Thanks, Lauren. So we're still here at Kari Dam. As you can see, our elephant is still actually swimming. It was a visual of one that I think is going to end up down here, but it was way far in to the bush. So they have, well, like I said, maybe it's not only the two over here that we see. It's got to be more of them around. But maybe when they heard that this is all the swimming take place in this dam here, they're all going to come down and drink, swim, possibly, maybe. Sometimes they only use the only trunk that is nostrils. So when they go down, they make sure they can suck water, not a problem. But they can. I've seen a young elephant go down to the water straight away to take a drink from its mouth. And those are not actually able to use their trunk properly. They're still too young. Such an amazing. With this age, they have a lot of work to do, playing around, pushing each other, even inland. What you see is happening there. When they're not eating, they would probably just gonna play, doing this, pushing one another like this. And that's why when they're still in the herds, when they're anything from 14 years to 16 years old, not far too much for them to be able to accept it in a group of females, where they're already, playing very difficult to these young ones that just born and push them harder sometimes. So this is where you see, maybe you heard a lot of noises take place there, and trumpet sometimes, all warning to them that you stay back or you get up. So then they have to move now in that age. And for them to decide their own journey to go spend time with their father and their uncles out there, and all you come across. So let's just take a moment of silence here. See our elephant swimming. Jamie, that's what I also thought. But, since I think somehow when they would forget about what was happening, because this was all about swimming things, And they will finally take it easy. Each one would actually, separate far, at least about 50 yards, sometimes 45 yards away from one another. This is where they can have a break a little bit to feed far from each other. Getting along for such a young one like this, they practice their strength quite a lot. And then especially when they're all full growing, that's very difficult for them to able to control one another there, because always the dominant male, if he's in the area, and he will be controlling the rest of the male. And then applies the same. Those young males that are at least anything from 25, which they just maybe started to come en masse, and it's so hard for them to able to move around through the females, and where you already find males are there, those are dominant, maybe not allowing these young males at the age of 25 to get close to the females, since they're not dominant. So fighting there is happening quite a lot. But of course, it's actually serious fight that ever take place. Death happened. One get out injured so bad with these tuskers, because they use them for fight as actually a weapon. And a chance they can stab one or stab another so bad. And they have a very thick layer of skin. But of course, that they can still sometimes injure one another. So I'm going to carry on, check few roads here. Let me send you over a Lauren again with a hyena.
Now we're hoping that our IR light today plays ball. It may not. But I do have the technical genius on board with me, so we are all good. We've just lost far too much ambient light now, although there's still a lot of light from the moon. But in terms of filming, we've got our infrared camera on. It's all very peaceful tonight. Intima's still here, Ribbon's still here, all cubs are still here. Still no sign of Corky's daughter. Oh, there we go. Marcel's shaking his head. Apologies, that light has gone off. It's very temperamental. If it gets a little bit too darker, we'll have to leave because we don't use any artificial lights. Gwyn, is that okay? Is this viewing okay? We don't have a working IR light, I'm afraid. Apparently it's okay, you can still see the spotted bodies. Now I will come back tomorrow and check, as I always do. I'm a predictable being. I want to keep my eye on Ribbon. I hope tomorrow when we come, she'll be much fuller. And a little bit happier looking. The adults don't always have to be here at night time. I mean, there's no sign of heart. She might come later, she might not. The cubs just have to learn quickly that food will not always be available. Okay, I think we will have to leave now, I'm afraid, because it's going to get too dark to view them without the IR light. But for now, we're going to send you across to Andrew and his elephants.
Thanks, Lorraine. Thank you very much. So those that were swimming there, they have moved off the dam. And this is the one that I think I saw from the distance, trying to arrive here at the dam. It's also one of the young male. Looks like it must be maybe a group of young male around here. Those are just started to become maybe independently. Form a group, a bachelor group, but he's just busy feeding there. He arrived from the other side and then he drank and then he came back again. So he's far from there too now, because they're actually on the far east and then he's actually on the south. When I'm saying far, we're probably not 100% far away because they can still keep one another up or communicate. But you see how we're going to lose them moving into that bush. Or you will maybe decide to come this way because the other partners that have moved east direction. Maybe that's where the rest of the other members have gone into. So they move night and day for them to sustain their body. And they have to eat quite a lot. Fully grown elephant can eat at least 250, maximum 300 kilograms of food a day. And that's quite a lot. We're more likely that the habitat is great this time of year. There's a lot of green, grasses, plants, all available. So we're using actually IR light, so that's why sometimes when we zoom far it's started to lose quality, but we still got a sighting of this young bull elephant. So he uses these actually tuskers. It's got a beautiful tusk. It's going to be actually well developed, nice. He's already sweating this temporal gland. He's still too young. What I saw from there when he was standing, it's probably same age as probably 16 years done. And from there, Joel, elephants, they're not actually territorial. So they move in and out of the area. Even though there's quite a lot of different group, but they're not a territorial. So it happens sometimes different group, meet up during their movement, but each member is then able to lead its own group away, if that necessarily. Only the problem, it's the bulls, those that just compete for either dominate or mating, which usually males, they would fight for a dominate. Always, that happened. And then exactly, I don't know what he's seeing there. He's trying to mock charge, I don't know what it is. So using IR light. Alright, so I'm going to move forward just to see what these young ones see there, because it seems to be charging now. And I'm going to be sending you over to a giraffe.
We've come across quite a big group of giraffe. Standing very close to us. With the beautiful moon in the background, it's actually a really, really pretty sight.
Pinda, sorry about that. I'm still making my way just to see. And now, what would be he charging around here? What would be he seeing? Normally he would charge things that he's not happy about. Maybe this one of the predators. Could be leopard, could be lions, could be hyenas. That you will be chasing them around here. I'm not sure what it is, but there is hyena. There. We're gonna lose them. Simon, look. Let's go closer. Away from us. Yeah, they're actually moving far. They're disappearing. I'm gonna try and get them. Yeah, they're moving away. Looks like a two hyena moving in there. There's probably one of those hyenas denning in this area where Lorraine now, she has left the den. It's probably the same family clan member. Now everyone see it's very dense out there. They can't keep up with them, so they're on their forage. So this is the time now they'll forage about moving in this area through the bush, use a sense of smell where they would pick up where the lions or leopard have moved through, and this is where they will steal from them because they can scavenge. Also, hyena, they can hunt, not only scavenging, so they're so cool that we all know that from the beginning that hyena, they all scavenge only, but no, they can hunt, and they can hunt successfully. Especially hunt in a group like we saw there is more than one. So if they ever cornered whatever, there's an antelope, impala, one hyena can able to make it alone, kill it. If it's a kudu, they will get around, bite it down, kill it. So they're good in that. But they disappeared. Hopefully, maybe we'll bump on them on the road somewhere. So let's hope we bump on them on the road while we're driving, looking for Palamba if she pop out again.
An ever-increasing part of the global population is losing its connection with nature. Wild Earth is here to reduce people's stress and anxiety, allowing you to escape into nature even just for a few hours a day. However, Wild Earth is expensive to run, and we need help from you to keep this ship going. Wild Earth Explorers gives you the opportunity to be a part of a program that supports the sharing of nature with the world.
I am David. I come to you live every day from the Mara Triangle all the way in East Africa. My favorite animal in African wilderness is the lion. Lions here in the African wilderness, I call them kings of the jungle because in general they are always up there while they control the savannas of Africa.
Catch up with the guides daily here on Wild Earth. Wild Earth is launching our brand new Explorer program with an opportunity to win a very special Wild Earth expedition. The lucky winner will get a behind-the-scenes Wild Earth experience at the magnificent and beyond Ngala Tainted Safari Camp. The prize includes a 3-night stay for you and a friend with a chance to sleep out in the unique Ngala treehouse. Become a Wild Earth Explorer and stand a chance to win this and many other prizes. Terms and conditions apply.
My name is Ross and I'm a field guide at and beyond Pinde Private Game Reserve. I love getting questions from guests on Wild Earth because I love sharing and learning information about nature with new people, and it also makes me feel like you're all joining me in real life. If you want to ask a question on Wild Earth, then you need to register on our website. Once registered, go to our live safari page and submit your question below our live feed.
Okay, welcome back. We are just trying to get a pretty scene with the moon and some giraffe. Is that good or sugar? Oh, perfect. See the moon through the trees and a giraffe in the foreground. They did kind of move away earlier, but there it is. Full moon, giraffe staring at us. this male giraffe is being quite cool. Oh, we're going to send you across to Lauren quickly.
I'm not sure if you can see this, everyone. It could be too dark, but we do have a white-tailed mongoose. I'm sure it's a white-tailed mongoose. We saw it on the road, and Marcel's holding our infrared light together with his hand. You see that? We never see them. They're nocturnal. Okay, Marcel's going to zoom out. I'm going to try and see if we can get a better view of this. Hold on, this is so exciting. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to do this, but let's at least try. Now, we get lots of different mongoose species here, but with the white-tailed, they're nocturnal, so we never get to see them. Can you smell your favorite bug, Marcel? Okay, I don't want to scare it. I can see its eyes. Also don't want to shine the light directly in its eyes. That's not fair. Okay, now I've lost it. I'm not sure if you all got a very good view of that, to be perfectly honest, but it was a white-tailed mongoose. It's here, Marcel. It's on the right, just behind this mound. Okay. Just behind the mound to the left, you should get a view of it. There we go. Hello. So big. Look at that white tail. Wow, how incredible. So much bigger than what we're used to seeing in the slenders and the dwarfies. Mike, you're right. What a spectacular way to end drive. Not the best visuals, but again, we're using infrared. Oh, there we go. We're having a little bit of trouble with our light. But it worked. It worked for what we needed. I'm just going to shine my spotlight just to see which way it's moving. So we just do brief shines, just like that. You don't need to blind an animal. Oh, I didn't realize we were so close to the end of the show. So you are right, Mike. What a spectacular way. Maybe not completely spectacular when the IR light keeps on going off like that. But Marcel is doing his very, very best. Let's see if we can get last visuals for you. I'll direct you, Marcel. Yep, it's there. It's still there. Just up at the top here. There we go. It's only eyes it's hiding. But you know, there's actually, anytime we do see white-tailed mongoose, is on quarantine. I think they den here. Wow. The picture's a bit grainy. It's far in the distance, but if we try to get any closer, it's just going to wander off. You won't find this species during the day. Wow, what a spectacular drive. It was just sitting on the middle of the road as we were bumbling home. Tingana, Juma clan, and a white-tailed mongoose. So everyone, it's time to say goodnight. But a big thank you all for jumping on board, all your comments and questions. We always appreciate your support. Please do join us tomorrow morning for the Sunrise Safari. Good night for now.